Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Let's do this. Welcome to 4Player Podcast, everybody. This is episode 729. It's August 25th, 2022. I think I caught Chris Davis off guard there because he just made this face like, oh god, the camera's on. Like we were suddenly live on television or something and he didn't realize it. It was pretty good.
You usually wait like 10 to 15 seconds before you actually start doing the podcast. So
I know. I'm trying to keep you guys on your toes. Y'all were just complaining about the fact that we were recording for like 10 minutes prior to actually starting this show. So I'm just like jumping into it. And with that said, welcome to the show, everybody. Video games, they're here to stay. We're here to talk about them. We're going to talk about things. I know Krispy's been playing that Saints Row. We have some demos to talk about. But it's also Gamescom this week. So there is, of course, Geoff Keighley's opening night live thing that we'll talk about in the second segment. We'll go over all the news and or lack thereof that came out of that. So yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. Before we get too far, though, a couple bits of housekeeping I just wanted to quickly mention. Oh, you know what? It's all right. Sometimes I get ahead of myself and get excited. I forget to introduce everybody. My name's Nick Henderson. We're joined by Brad Simons. Brad Simons.
Hello. Hello.
Krispy.
Hello.
And Chris Davis.
Good evening.
Sorry. I am moving at a brisker pace tonight, so I actually like the sound test that we did before felt in my brain like I had introduced everybody, but that wasn't actually part of the show, so I apologize. Housekeeping. What do we have here? Revival Club. We're doing a community bracket right now. We're on round 2 of voting.
It's rigged.
Why do you think it's rigged? Literally, okay, if anybody's doing the rigging here, it's Brad, because Brad actually sent me the hand-drawn bracket. Like, he figured out all of the pairings that I had, and I just used it. Because
how is it rigged?
So you're the reason why Super Tecmo Bowl did not get the love it deserved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. Because Super Tecmo Bowl was never going to fucking win, so I put it up against the best seed or whatever, which was Mega Man Legends. What chance did Super Tecmo Bowl have?
It deserved a chance.
Were you the one who nominated Super Tecmo Bowl?
Should I have put Mega Man Legends next to fucking whatever else is going to do well? I don't know. What else is going to do well?
Varmint Story or whatever it's called.
Varmint. We have 8 games, 16 games, 8 pairings in round 1, and we're officially in round 2. I apparently forgot how to count, and I said originally there was going to only be 2 pairings in the second round, but it's actually 4. So
there's already been some upsets in round 1. Shadow Man beat out Fallout 2, and Legend of Dragoon beat out Diablo 2, which I think people thought Diablo 2 would go far, but that wouldn't make sense.
Right.
But Shadow Man beat out Fallout 2? That's wild.
There's been people that have been asking to do Shadow Man as a revival club for a while, so it doesn't entirely surprise me.
No, Shadow Man's cool. Y'all have good taste.
That's a bummer. I was gonna get in on Diablo 2. That sucks.
I mean, there's always.
Now you can play Legend of Dragoon possibly because that's good.
I think people are really enjoying the bracket format, so maybe we'll do this more often. Like
maybe people are only voting for games they already played because that happens too often.
I just want to remind everybody that goes against the spirit of the Revival Club. I'm not asking you to nominate your favorite games or vote for your favorite games. I'm asking you to nominate games that are otherwise underappreciated or games that you haven't touched before that you're interested in finally trying. But that's neither here nor there. We usually end up somewhere thereabouts when we narrow it down. But like I said, we're in round 2 of voting right now. If you want to get in on this, if you want to contribute, vote, nominate, maybe even be a guest on a podcast when we finally get around to recording for whatever game is going to win here. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player, or you could just subscribe to our Twitch channel. Either way, that should get you access to the Revival Club channel and Discord where you can access the voting bracket and all that stuff. So check that out. And also, I just want to quick remind, if you're watching us live right now, you've probably already figured this out, but we're back to recording on Thursdays, which is the way we usually do it. We took a little detour for a few months. We were recording on Wednesdays, but now we're back to Thursdays. So we're here to stay, for now, anyways. But yeah, enough about that. Let's do it. We got video games to talk about, and I want to start tonight with a game that I actually didn't realize we were going to be talking about until very late in the prep process here. So why you didn't see it in like any of the tweets or anything I put out about the show tonight. But Krispy has been playing Saints Row, which I didn't see that coming.
Really?
Damn it.
Oh, I mean, I guess I did, but I didn't know
You're
you were
really
doing
into
it
the
so
other
quickly.
Saints Row. And
I didn't
remember,
think
I
you were
even
on it so quickly.
I even tried that Agents of Mayhem and played.
I did too. I'm surprised you picked it up though. Honestly,
Hey, real quick before we get, I just
And
want
two, if I'm being honest.
I want to send a quick shout out to Mr. Community member Mr. Green Toast, because we were unable to capture our own footage, and I knew he'd been playing this. I reached out to him, and he very quickly recorded some footage and sent it over to us. So you were watching Mr. Green Toast Saints Row footage here.
Where his character is the Joker.
His character is something else. He's got like metal skin.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. What does your character look like, Krispy? I'm just curious.
I went with a female protagonist. Oh, Jesus Christ! What was that?
I just want you to know, Mr. Green Toast's Joker character here is a female character.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, like if you could hear the audio, you'd be like, "Huh, interesting."
Okay. Well, hey, good for them. I went with a female character, and I everyone seems to be making Jokers. Like every playthrough I've seen so far, like somebody did some kind of flavor of Joker, and that's what Mr. Green Toast went with too, albeit very very weird direction. Yeah.
I did that back in Saints Row 2. I made a Joker.
Yeah,
I saw that one video you did on YouTube, Chris Davis, where you were practicing your Joker laugh and your roommate barged in on you.
Don't remember that.
Oh shit. Okay. So I went with a female character, and I kind of wanted to do a Joker thing, but I didn't want to do Joker. I didn't want to do Harley Quinn. I went with a newer DC character that I don't know if anybody likes her, but I think it's a neat idea. There's a new like Harley Quinn replacement who's more evil than her called Punchline, and I kind of use that as the general vibe for my character. The game
playing?
It is.
That's right.
It was just paused.
Yeah, Green Toast said there was about 25 seconds of pause in the footage. So
okay, I didn't know that.
Sorry.
So, the game itself. When you guys were all like, "I'm surprised you picked this up," and I was like, "So am I." It was because I had read a lot of the reviews about it, which were like, it's Saints Row, but it's like kind of just Saints Row without all the cool stuff from the last few ones. It's very toned down and buggy as hell.
It's super buggy, huh? I didn't. Yeah. I haven't read a ton of the. All I know is that kind of the reception has been lukewarm at best.
A lot of it's because it feels buggy and sort of rushed and fucky.
It does. I agree with all of that. It feels buggy, and so far it's been entertaining, but like not anything mind blowing. You know, like it kind of feels like. You know, like I really like Saints Row 2, but I wasn't as in like I thought of Saints Row 2 like a lot of people I think did, where it was just like the lesser Grand Theft Auto that was maybe a little funnier. So I
wholeheartedly
I didn't really get excited about the series until 3, until like they started adding more weird shit and more like superpowers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that was fun.
I don't people saw where the direction the series was headed necessarily with 2. I mean, it was definitely kind of going in that direction, but I think the sentiment you expressed about this being like a GTA knockoff was not uncommon. That's certainly how I felt about it too.
Right. Well, and I think that was just because it was the first big competitor.
The first game was the big GTA knockoff, the
Right.
less serious
Yeah.
GTA game. 2 is when they started to embrace
Right.
the crazy a little bit, and that one's more of like a cult classic. There's a lot of Saints Row fans who consider that to even be their favorite.
I'm
I mean, I really
the
enjoyed.
third
All
and
I'm
fourth game.
saying is, I really enjoyed 2. It just wasn't something that got me super excited about. Oh, what's the next Saints Row? I played it and was like, cool, and moved on with my life.
Yeah.
3 and 4 were both kind of like, oh shit, like what's next? Really enjoyed those games so far. I will say I am enjoying this game. I am having fun with it. Like it is filling the hours, right?
There's fun to be had.
I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the story. Like I kind of like what's going on so far. It's not really, groundbreaking or really that complicated or anything. But it is kind of a reimagining of the beginning of the Saints. So it's like these 4 hoodlums who live together, and 2 of them are like fucking grunts in 2 different gangs, and your character is a grunt for the paramilitary company Marshall, right? And the first few story missions are you doing jobs as this like new recruit at Marshall, and it's against the 2 big gangs that are in the city right now, which are the Icons and Los Panteros, and those are the 2 gangs that your roommates both work for. So it is kind of like there's a fun dynamic there where like you'll go on this mission where you're blowing up a shit ton of like Panteros trucks, and then you're talking to your roommate and you're like, hey, sorry, like I'll do your laundry for a week, like kind of stuff like that. And then eventually everybody, like, you get fired from your job and your friends get kicked out of their gangs, and then you're all like, let's just make our own gang. Like, let's make a gang. They buy a church, steal it, and
as one does.
say like, okay, cool, we're gonna be the Saints. And then that's kind of where I'm at right now. I just got that far, which is like 7 missions in. Like, it is a little ways in. You have to do a bit. And I'm just kind of getting to the part where it's like, okay, recruit members and go, open up different enterprises, where it's like you've got all these empty lots around town, and you can put businesses in them, and each business opens up a different criminal enterprise. So there'll be stuff like the food trucks. When you set up a restaurant that is eerily similar to Torchy's Tacos, and in fact, the whole thing has like a very Texas, like fictional Texas vibe. It's really weird. Like there's like an Alamo in the middle of the city, kind of like in San Antonio. There's a river that goes through the city. But anyway, you set up like a restaurant, and then you can go around town and muscle out your food truck competitors. And then once you've done that, then you're running drugs through all the food trucks in the city. You can do like insurance frauds. So like you actually set up like a lawyer's office and start committing insurance fraud. Bunch of stuff like that. It's really interesting. It's really fun. It is buggy as hell. I haven't encountered any game-breaking bugs yet. I haven't had anything. Like, there was one time in the very beginning in the character creator, I just lost the highlight icon and couldn't get out of the menu. It was just like, it was just there. I was just stuck. So I was like, oh, great. And I had to start over. It didn't take very long to get back to where I was. It was like 10, 15 seconds. But that's the worst bug I've encountered so far. But I've heard some pretty bad ones.
Like, I have is this not a series that were people expecting like super polished out of this? I feel like that's just been kind of par. I mean,
no, this really is
motherfucker.
Okay,
I'm just
it really is kind of like going beyond. It's not polished into like, oh, that needed a few more months in the oven, kind of thing. Some of the stuff is kind of like, that is weird how this is broken.
Which this has me.
I'm not trying to be like, I'm thinking about it like in terms of like Bethesda games. You expect those games to ship with bugs, but like that's just because the nature of the kinds of games they play, and in a way,
I'm not gonna. There's a difference between like silly, oh, that dude's floating in the air for no reason bugs, and then like scripting bugs where I just can't continue this mission, or all of a sudden I can't shoot my guns and I have to reload an old save because it's just broken. Like
and
there's
been
fun
a lot
bugs,
of
and then there's fucked bugs.
There's been a lot of reports like that. where it's like, oh, I like this condition won't trigger in the mission, and I have to just like reload and do it again.
Yeah.
I had a really annoying one on this exact mission, and on this exact part that we're about to see, because you're riding on these cars in this like Mad Max style chase, and you're trying to get up to this war rig, and once you get on, you have to fight guys on the back of the war rig. Well, when I got on, I was like, great, I'll pull out my shotgun and deal with these guys. I pulled out my shotgun, was firing at them, got overwhelmed, died, had to restart. It took me all the way back to the beginning of the car section. The problem is, every time you jump from a car or jump from the car to the truck, it's an animation, and it almost kind of like, I don't know how it works scripting wise, but it like resets you to the state you were in before, like whatever the last save state was. So like every time I jumped cars, it switched from my long range weapons, my assault rifle or my pistol, back to the shotgun, which was empty. And would like, so I jump to a car and I'm trying to shoot somebody, and it's like the shotgun, and she starts going into the reload animation, and I'm like, fuck. So I switched back to the pistol, and then I get a prompt to jump to the next car. I jump, and when I land, it's on the empty shotgun again, and it did that 3 times in a row, and it was the most annoying thing I've ever encountered, even though it didn't break the game. So there's stuff like that going on here. Not great.
Right.
The story is what you would expect from Saints Row, but I think I like that, so I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the performances. Like, I'm playing, so like the voice that I picked for my character, I mean, your character is very talkative and very involved, and has like their own personality kind of written into the story, independent of what you do, right? And the voice that I picked, the voice actress, is doing a great job. Like, I really like my character, even though I didn't like, really develop their personality,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird floaty game that kind of gets a little overwhelming when like combat gets really tight. Like, look at stuff like this, where you're doing this like you're doing takedown animations, which are cool, but like you'll be in situations where you're surrounded by like 9 people just watching you, aiming guns at you, just watching you kind of like lazily kick one dude's ass. Like, what? That's a little weird.
Can I say, Nick, because again, you have no experience with this, which makes sense, because why would you choose to play the less serious version of?
Are you trying to insult me right now? I can't tell what's going on.
Well, I was getting there before you interrupted me. We'll talk about you preferring the more zany, less serious when we talk about Dead Island 2 later. But like all the Saints Row games, all of them, like scored in the 80s on Metacritic. And while the third and the fourth scored like mid 80s, this is like mid 60s. So like when you say like, aren't they all kind of like unpolished? Like, no, not really. Like, not anything like this. Like,
those games,
it's a very well received series. And this is like, I heard someone. I heard someone bring it up on another podcast, but this is kind of like the Mass Effect Andromeda of Saints Row. Like, this is like, people aren't happy. Like I sort of had a 4Player minute about this because I didn't know that Krispy was going to talk about it, and I was gonna kind of where I was going to bring up Saints Row, because if you remember last week, my final thought was like, oh, I liked Saints Row back in the day, but it was kind of like as a streamer, right? And now that I'm not streaming, I don't think I'm necessarily going to play Saints Row. And my thought this week was going to be like, even though I wasn't planning on really playing it, like there's still like kind of a sadness there. Like I want to see this series succeed. I want to see Volition succeed. And it seems like as a reboot, like it's been kind of like an unmitigated disaster. And bugs and stuff aside, like people are saying like, even if they fix all those bugs, it's still kind of like an uninspired like step backwards, because it feels like a game out of time, right? Some people maybe are okay with like a game that, back when GTA was really popular, everyone was making GTA clones. Saints Row was one of them, right? But it feels like an old ass open world game that was kind of a knockoff of GTA. And like, it doesn't seem like this has been a success in any respects in terms of like sales or hype or like obviously reviews, and it feels like this was it for the series. Like Volition had Agents of Mayhem, which was a huge fucking flop. This other podcast said that was probably their anthem. But like after this and this failed reboot, like it feels like Volition and Saints Row are just kind of like
Well, I mean,
what fucking happened?
I would reiterate that I am actually really liking this game, and enough that I hope this isn't the end of the series. Enough that I hope they build on from this, but I do see that building on as being like kind of returning to maybe where the series was before instead of.
I think improving. This is an Andromeda situation. Also, in the fact that they can't ever return to these characters. If they ever have any chance of bringing back any goodwill with Saints Row, they have to go back to that original crew.
I don't know that I believe. I don't know that I believe.
They need Garrus.
I don't believe that I believe
Liara.
That. I think.
Have you looked at what critics and people are saying? You're an outlier here. People are not happy.
Dude, I don't know. I think maybe you should play the game and decide.
No, people are not happy. Like
okay. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm like actually enjoying the story. I'm actually enjoying the characters. I'm curious.
Play more. Tell me where you're at, because a lot of people said like it gets worse and worse and worse, and you know, your kind of iffy shooting sequence might be okay in the first few hours, but like by hour 30, it might be. I mean, honestly, I didn't even love the shooting in the good Saints Row, so like I'm not compelled to honestly play this, but
I think you're bringing a lot of invective in without having actually played the game. Like you got a lot of energy.
This game, you got a lot of energy because telling me it's awful.
I guess, but like I don't think it's as bad as Andromeda. I don't think it's fair to say that. I think Andromeda's biggest sin, despite also kind of like not looking that good and being mechanically whatever, was that it felt soulless and lifeless, and I don't feel like this is that yet. So maybe it is by hour 30. I don't know. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm not trying to get on Andromeda, but I really don't think that's a fair comparison. Honestly, I don't. This is weird, and I don't know how to quantify this exactly, but the experience I was most relating this to, just as like what it is in a vacuum, not what it is in the greater context of the industry and the culture around video games and everything, but just like in a vacuum, the product of what it is, I put it on the same level as like Cyberpunk 2077. I think I would have about as much fun playing either game.
That's. I mean, there's so much there.
I don't even know what that means.
I can't unpack that. But can I say that, like, I guess how I was gonna, like, the point of my final thought was not just that I was really sad about Saints Row because I like Volition, I like the series, but it's that, like, what happened here? Like, they've been Embracer owned for a long time now, THQ Nordic, whatever, right? Like, why did such a I mean, this was the biggest franchise probably for Volition, right? And one of the biggest IPs that were purchased coming out of THQ, right? THQ's collapse, right? Like, don't you think that this should have been like a very big game for Embracer? Like this is probably one of their first big games to really like say, hey, we're like
buying up everybody.
Maybe,
yeah, we're like a major publisher. They just bought like fucking Tomb Raider and Deus Ex, and they rushed out this shit. Don't they have more money than God? Why was this game shipped in this state?
Because
do they have more money than God? I don't know. What is that?
Buying everything. They have to.
I guess. I don't know. All I'm saying is like I'm really when I'm playing this game, I'm not looking at it from a business perspective, and honestly, I'm okay with this feeling like a comfy 360 throwback kind of game. And I wouldn't want to put
specifically referring to like bugs.
I would want to put the I mean, I kind of am lumping that all together. I mean, obviously I wish it wasn't as buggy as it is. But I think there's a point where we can't say that the world doesn't deserve to have some like kind of mid open world games that you play for a month and never think about again. Because that stuff's fun, and I okay, maybe I don't want to pay $60 for every one that comes out, but like making it this like grandstanding like moralist point of like this is a travesty, like we've been cheated. Like
I'm just
I
saying.
don't know what to do with that, man.
Embracer is buying like legendary IP, and their biggest one that they had until recently was Saints Row, and they just shipped a game that was a whole 20 points lower than the next Metacritic of any other game in the series.
They put out a patch
That's
next
significant.
week. If they put out a patch next week that fixes this and makes it more stable, I mean, is it still?
I mean,
the big disaster?
I listen to a lot of podcasts and read a lot of reviews and stuff, and I'm hearing people that say, quote, even if who played through this game, even if although a lot of people did stop, a lot of professional critics did stop playing because that's how much they were not enjoying it, say even if this game had fixed all its bugs, it still wouldn't be very good. That's what they were saying.
Okay. I don't.
But like it's hard to have this conversation because you're having a good time, and like I'm glad you're having a good time. All I'm saying is keep playing and tell me if that changes.
Of course. Yeah. I absolutely allow for the fact that that opinion may very well change. By the time
I do think it's also important to point out that, I mean, I know where you're coming from as far as the bringing up the Embracer Group thing, but like, and they are buying up everybody, but like at the same time, I don't know if the quality of this game or lack thereof or whatever has much of anything to do with Embracer at this point. Like, we're literally drawing that line and making that comparison because it's the only high profile release we've seen so far that's come out since they started buying up all these. But it's admittedly,
well, there was Darksiders 3. That was one of their first ones, right?
I just feel like
Darksiders 3 was fine. I mean, it's honestly, Darksiders 3 is fine, probably the same way this is fine.
I think
aside
maybe
from
what's
Krispy,
happening.
People aren't saying this is fine.
Okay, aside from me, I'm the only one in the world who's enjoying this. I think the problem, I think the issue here is that I'm coming at this from a point of view of like for the last 10 years, there's been a lot of open world games that have come out that I've gotten excited about, that I played it, and it's like, okay, this is kind of just soul sucking. Stuff like, I mean, I'm even thinking like Mad Max. I was so excited about Mad Max before it came out, played it. It was cool. Really liked a lot of the mechanical stuff going on there. Did not really just care about the game though. Like, I didn't care about the vibe. I didn't care about the story. I didn't know why I was doing anything. Same thing with Cyberpunk. Same thing with Andromeda. It's a lot of like, I don't really understand what I'm doing here, or like, I don't really feel like doing anything in this game. And I don't know, I'm kind of getting more of a positive reaction from Saints Row than I have a lot of
the thing is
games that probably should have been bigger than it.
I totally believe you.
I don't know. Maybe I am just like
no,
fucking rewired at this point by modern media that I like shit. Maybe. And I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying that could just be true.
I'm saying like, a game that's truly fucked. Sometimes you don't know until you've really seen it all.
I guess.
Cyberpunk, the first few hours of Cyberpunk were fucking great. Everyone thought that.
Yeah.
But like these
stuff and
the critics have played through way more of the game, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't, that their y'all's opinion were the same 3 hours in, but like the shit they're complaining about is not what you said about liking the cast, or the things you liked about the game are not what they're talking shit about. It's like,
I know it's more the technical stuff. It's more of the objectively like broken things in the game, and I get that. And maybe I've just been really lucky, so I haven't been experiencing much of that. I'm feeling like Nick right now. But
I was gonna say the same thing. I was like, I feel like Krispy's in my hot seat right now.
I feel like
I'm usually and you're going to bat for the big open.
But like, this is what I'm always telling you, Nick. Like, sometimes it's just like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm obviously not in the mainstream opinion on this, and I don't fucking care. I do feel like I paid $60 for this game, and I kind of wish I hadn't. I will give you that. Okay, I'll give you that. But if you bought this game for $20 on a sale in a year, like, shit, fucking burn a weekend playing this. It's
Krispy,
cool.
Yeah.
I want you to say I'm not anti your good vibes, but
I'm not.
because if you're saying the same things you're saying at hour 30, I'll be giving you high fives because I'm glad that you're enjoying it.
I know. I'm not. Look, that's not what this is. I'm not. There aren't sides here. I don't think you're being overly negative. I do.
There is
think
one
what you're saying is correct
on it.
I do think there's
Max.
I do think that what you're saying is correct, and I saw a lot of that same stuff, and that's why it took me 2 days to come around to even buying the game. I put it in my cart and canceled it like 3 times before I actually fucking bought it.
It was
Yeah, and then now that I did and started playing it, I was kind of like, okay. I was playing fucking Island Sanctuary in Final Fantasy 14 and was like, okay, I'm gonna go play Saints Row now. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good sign for me. Yeah. I don't know.
For
sure. I don't know. For sure. I don't know what to tell you. I will
you don't need to
play
anything,
more.
Krispy.
I don't know, man. I'll play more.
Let's check up with Krispy after a few more hours of Saints
Row.
World
Teller asks.
Not a few more hours. At least a dozen more hours. If you come at me 25, 30 hours in and you're where you are now, then I'll give it a shot.
Well,
there it is. Hot. That sounds like a hot dog bet. I'm just kidding.
Okay, but
But at the end of the year, when we're giving out Razzies, we don't actually do that. And you still only played 3 hours of Saints Row, then you don't have a leg to stand on.
I've already played more than 3 hours, okay?
Oh, okay.
I mean, let's just
fucking
chill out. Like, just I'm looking at the main story quest mission list right now, and there are more behind me than ahead of me.
Really?
Oh, okay.
From what I'm reading here, the game is actually 15 to 20 hours long.
It's not. Yeah, the main story quest doesn't seem that long. Let's see. There's 21 missions, and I'm on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I just finished 11.
Holy shit.
Okay. Hey, maybe I misjudged your.
So I mean, get off my fucking dick, Brad.
Brad's like, I take back everything I just spent 15 minutes talking about.
I love that you were like, I played an hour.
He's just so used to like coming at me and Chris Davis for this kind of shit. For only
you said you were like 7 missions in. I thought that was like.
I was 11. Sorry, I was off by 4.
Right. Let's switch gears for a second.
Seem far.
Let's switch gears for a second. I have a game I want to talk about, and it's a demo. And because it's a demo, I've only played it for about 30 minutes, so I don't have a ton to say about it, Brad. You don't need to
more
comment
than Krispy played of Saints Row.
You're coming at me like I'm Chris Davis or some shit.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought that.
Chris Davis is over here laughing like I can hear y'all. You know.
Maybe it's because the game just came out. I don't know.
I could just end the podcast right now.
He has all the power. He could just end everything. Okay.
Wait, what are you talking about? You've only played 30 minutes of something and you're talking about it?
It's a demo. I played a demo.
Oh, okay. It's a demo. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a demo.
I think I've actually played what you're about to talk about.
Yeah, you might have. And I think Chris Davis may have as well. I didn't even know this game existed until last weekend. It's a game that I found it because they're going to be at Gamescom, and there's a Twitter account that I follow that kind of focuses on horror games, and it kind of highlighted this indie horror game, and I play. And calling it an indie horror game is, I don't know if that's necessarily super accurate because I don't think horror is maybe its main goal here. But the game is called Conscript, and it is a classic isometric survival horror game, like traditional survival horror game that takes place in World War I during the Battle of Verdun. And you are a soldier who is traversing the trenches in the midst of this battle, trying to find your brother. Krispy, what is that face you're making?
Oh no, I just saw this trailer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I played this.
Brutal.
Okay, so
I played this. Carlos was super excited about this.
This game is like, quite honestly, this game has shot kind of to the top of my like indie excitement list.
When it says it's a horror game, this is the question I had about this game. When it says it's a horror game, is there? I mean, is it just like the horrors of war? I
don't know for certain. I do feel like there's probably going to be elements.
Or is there like you're going to
war
find
games
out
are not called horror games?
You're going to find out that like the Germans are summoning demons or something.
I mean,
No
it
one.
very well could go that way. I don't know.
No, it's definitely gonna go that way,
Yeah,
or
it
Silent Hill
does.
or something.
Or you're
Are you
going
kidding me?
insane, or like
No,
something.
no one calls this War of Mine a horror game.
That's
I
what
mean,
I.
surely
That's what
it
I was
is.
thinking. That's what I was
No,
thinking.
but it's not that.
Okay. So let me just get this out because I don't know a ton about this game. I'm going in kind of
Wait,
blind. I
did you
played.
finish the demo?
I mean, I think
You
so.
better have after
I
that
got a
last
title.
question.
I think so. I don't
Okay,
know.
and there was no
I got a
monsters.
title I got a dude that hit me with a gun and it said, and the title came up, and I thought the demo was over. Did I stop too early?
That was
I
the
don't know.
Might have been when the horror started.
Okay, well that's fantastic. But beyond that, I've seen the horror or not, like I'm kind of sold on this game before even getting to that aspect. I played it for about 30 minutes last night. This is it's very traditional in the way that it handles like its approach to survival horror, which is a genre and a formula that is very near and dear to my heart. It's very like traditional like Resident Evil in terms of like inventory management and what's interesting about it is like the way you have to deal with combat scenarios because you're exploring these trenches which are very labyrinthine, right? It's like a maze. You're trying to figure out your way around it, so you're trying to find keys and clues to figure out where your brother is. And the entire time like bombs are dropping, so like you'll see like shadows start to fall and you have to like roll out of the way before like the bomb hits and like it creates like huge explosions. And like if you can kind of like use it to your advantage, if there's soldiers chasing you, you can kind of like lead them towards it, or you can try to maneuver them so that you can like shoot barrels next to them and stuff. So you're kind of treating it like you're fighting a like guerrilla warfare in these trenches, um, which is kind of unusual for I think this style of game. Um, and when you go to fire your gun, you're obviously using weapons that were prominent during World War One. So like the guns they give you very early on, at least in the demo, is like a rifle where you get like one single shot off, and then you have to eject the cartridge and then load in another one before you can fire. So you got two dudes running at you. You have to fire your gun and then position yourself so you can reload before you get hit. Which is intense in a way I'm not really used to in this style of game. But like when you go to hold your gun, you have to like hold the aim button while like the reticle gets smaller, and the smaller it gets, the more like focused it is, and the more damage it does to the enemy. So you can theoretically like kill enemies in one hit if you can like hold your aim longer. But sometimes you have to kind of like pop shots off because they're running straight at you. You just kind of have to react.
It's that risk reward scenario.
Risk reward, yeah. So it does a really nice job of risk reward. The atmosphere is just really, really unique. I'm just not used to like this kind of game being set in like a war setting. And it's got
I don't know if there are monsters.
I don't know, but like I did get to a point where there was like a door that looked like something very much out of Silent Hill. Like it was a puzzle door.
Yeah, but Silent Hill is also like psychological horror, and you can easily tell that sort of story in a real war setting.
Yeah, so I don't know, like, but like the door that I came to was like covered in barbed wire and stuff, so you had to like find something to cut the barbed wire off the door, and I'm just like,
well, barbed wire exists in trenches,
but like you would know what I'm talking about if you saw it, like, which is actually I think it's in this footage.
It was mystical demon barbed wire.
No. But when you look at the door, it just looks like one of those like flesh-covered doors that you would come across in like Silent Hill, and like it's like a puzzle. So when you look at it, it goes to like one of those like still shots of the door where you can see like all the barbed wire covering it and stuff, and it just looked very Silent Hill to me. I don't know. So
the horrors of war, man, just like the horrors of life and death and grief are what haunted the people of Silent Hill.
Dude, I know you're joking, but like
I'm not joking. I seriously think this is gonna be a survival horror game with Silent Hill vibes, but actually just like soldiers and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of the vibe I got. I don't know.
But
to be honest, I would be happy with it. I'd be excited for it one way or the other because it's the approach, the atmosphere, the approach like to the genre, and the level design is really interesting, and like finding keys and figuring out where to use those keys has always been something that I've loved, and it's great here, and just that the combat's really intense. I don't know. It's cool. I think this is like I don't know if it's coming out this year or if it's supposed to, but it's kind of at the top of my list now, just in terms of like there's a whole bunch of indie games, especially after we had Steam Next Fest recently, that I'm just looking forward to, and it's just
Have
kind
you
of
ever
shot to the top of that list for me.
have you ever found like a key in real life and really been curious as to what it goes to, and you're trying all these different locks and it just starts eating away at your
I
soul?
can't say that I have, Brad. Has that happened to you?
No, I mean I've seen that scene in like movies and stuff before, right? Where like people find a key and they're curious about where it goes. Sometimes in horror movies,
I have a
Sounds
key on
and
the
they
very
find
keychain that I
some.
have no
They,
idea
then they
where it
find
goes
some
to.
door in the back of some closet, and
Dude,
there's like a whole
when
other
I
dimension.
when I moved into my condo that I had before I moved here, they gave me a key. They gave me like a bag of keys, like literally like one of those like little zip pouches that you would keep like money like for like deposits in, right? Little zipper pouches full of keys. I used 2 of them the entire 5 years that I lived there, and then when I moved out, I passed those on to the person that bought the house for me. Like I have no clue what like the other 30 keys in that pouch did. Blows
So
my
you
mind.
have no real life survival horror and wanderlust. I get it.
Correct. Or yeah, or survival horror skills per se, because yeah. Uh but man, I think this game's cool. I think you should check it out. Keep an eye on it. There's a demo on Steam. I didn't
Played
realize
it.
that it's been out for as long as it has. I know this sounds like I'm late to the game here, but
Super.
it's cool, man. It's cool. It's called Conscript. Check it out.
Yeah, we're ready for some good weeks for some indie stuff right now.
Dude,
Uh,
there are so many indie games that I'm excited about.
Yeah,
And I don't
every
know
mean,
if any of
fucking
them are
week. What do
coming
you
out
mean?
this year.
I mean, PAX is next week, so
What?
yeah,
What
PAX
is
isn't
PAX?
real.
yeah.
PAX isn't real. That's
Well,
the
Hey, I
that's
played
not
an
the
indie
thing.
game.
Yeah, Brad, tell us about your indie game. What is this?
Hold on, I
I
gotta
tried
get
to
this
get this
right.
out of you. I tried to get this out
I
of you, and you told me, "Don't worry, Nick. It's nothing you would play."
Well, I did say that, but the most recent when you ask me, and it's like Tuesday or Monday, and I don't want to tell you, it's because I don't actually know if I'm gonna play it, and you'll just start, etching it into fucking a stone on a mountaintop and telling
Somebody's got to
everybody that I'm gonna talk about this game, and then
somebody's
I
got to
might not.
promote these shows, Brad.
I know, but if I don't actually play it, then what? Then what?
What's the difference between me telling people what you're actually playing and me telling people that Brad's
You could
playing a
say
mystery?
Brad's gonna play a cool mystery game. In fact, if you probably told them that, they'd be more willing to show up and see what it is. Once I tell them the name of this game, they're already going to be opening another tab. Uh, I've been playing again. It's not Project Crystal. It's Crystal Project, and I want to
What
be
did I put
clear
in the
here.
overlay?
I don't know.
It's
I
Crystal
want to be
Project.
clear here. Crystal Project is the name, the final name of this fully out video game. It's called Crystal Project, which is not a good title for anything. It's an okay working title, but maybe Project Crystal would be an okay working title, but Crystal Project is not a good name for anything. In fact, your science fair project could be about crystals or something, and you should still probably not call it Crystal Project. It's bad. It's a bad name. It's
Noted.
almost as bad as
Noted.
Triangle Strategy. Like bad titles that are that bad could actually steer people away from even considering your video game. So they should actually probably just change the name of this game. I was playing this earlier today, and Henry saw it and said, "Oh, that's Minecraft." Because at a glance, it kind of looks like Minecraft because
wrong.
it is a big world made of cubes of dirt and grass, and it is the Minecraft aesthetic. Now, this isn't a Minecraft game. You're not making anything. You're not carving out any of these blocks. It is a handmade open world RPG game. And I stress open world because it's an exploration based, maybe even like a Minecraft. You're not like following a story like, now you go here. You're just exploring this enormous world that kind of
The
looks like
story tells
Minecraft.
itself.
Well,
You
the
make what you
story
will of it.
is the people you meet along the way, I guess. I don't actually know. I think you're finding like all these different like crystals all over the world, which have like bosses attached to them, and you're beating these bosses, and you're getting these large crystals,
Giant
which give
carrot?
you new job classes.
Oh,
This is kind of like Final Fantasy V, like it's a class based traditional JRPG in terms of class system and mechanics. But then the world is like Minecraft. And I gotta stress, like, it's super interesting because you know, there's a lot of platforming. It's extremely vertical, like extremely vertical. There are, you know, you get like flying mounts in this game, and like, you know, fish mounts and dinosaur mounts to like get you around this world in like new and interesting ways because it's huge. And you know, you can fall off a cliff and all of a sudden now you're on the bottom of this cliff, and you don't think about that verticality in those terms when it comes to a JRPG. It is an open world game about exploration, and the exploring is really rewarding because you're seeing all these chests and stuff all over the place, and secrets and stuff like caves, and you're like, well, how the fuck do I get there? And it what it reminded me most of was Crosscode, right? Where it's
mm,
about, you know, you're seeing cool shit in the world, and it's about like, okay, how the fuck do I get up there? And then backtracking and seeing if there's a like a ledge you can climb up to get a little bit higher, so maybe you can drop down in some other place, right? But it's even more extreme than that because of how like fucking vertical it is. Like I'm like you'll come around like a cliffside and you'll be like, oh, that's cool, but there's nothing over here. But then you'll look a little closer, you're like, wait a minute, there's like a little like ledge here jutting out from the mountain. I could probably jump to that. And then all of a sudden you're like off in a whole new other part of the world because you found like one little ledge you could, you know,
that's
jump
the
onto.
that's the sauce, man. That's the magic
It
sauce.
is the sauce. Like this world is fucking enormous, and it has the kind of exploration of like, I'm just gonna check over here, but I'm gonna come back because I was on this other path. And then all of a sudden, you know, it's an hour later and you've been going off into like a whole other part of the world that you just didn't even know existed, right? Like you get really sidetracked, and you can also get lost because of that. But, you know, there are maps that you can get, and like it's a pretty good mapping system, and you find towns and stuff, and that can kind of like help anchor you to a place, right? With like, you know, your shops and your places to rest to recover your MP and stuff. And like it's a pretty exciting game just to kind of roam around and explore. Like I've seen trailers, I know about these mounts and stuff, but like I'm pretty excited to like find them in the world because, you know, like I said, it gets so high that you're, you know, a flying mount would be something that would be extremely useful, which I imagine might be late in the game. But so I really like the exploration and like the secrets and like kind of hunting down, you know, finding ways to get up so you can get over and so you can get down. Like you don't, you never get that from a JRPG. It's something you get from, you know, something like a Minecraft. I mean, it was in like Crosscode, but even like the way platforming worked in Crosscode was like fairly unique, and one of the things I really liked about that game. But you know, you are getting into encounters, like JRPG encounters. And the other thing I really like about this game, because I am surprisingly like enjoying this and addicted to it, is the combat system. Like it's very Final Fantasy V in terms of like a class-based system, like with subclasses and stuff, and you're unlocking like passives and whatnot. If you've played that type of game, maybe if you're not that old, something like Bravely Default, right? Um, but like they're doing something that's pretty cool, and that's that they surface like everything, like all the fucking numbers, percentages, formulas for like calculating damage. You always know like exactly how much once you fought something, exactly how much health an enemy has, exactly how much each fucking spell does. Like there are aggro lines and stuff, so you know exactly who an enemy's going to attack. You know exactly what order everything goes in. So you have like they don't hide anything, right? Like they tell you like this dagger doesn't just cause poison. They tell you exactly the percentage chance of it causing poison, the percentage, how many rounds an enemy's going to have poison, what percentage of health that poison's going to take off of an enemy. They tell you everything. And I love that because a lot of games like hide a lot of stuff. I don't know why, but I feel like if you're going to give someone the power to like control 4 characters with all these job class systems and like really get into the nitty gritty of like making your team, perfecting it, like give the player the information that they want, because it to me it makes it so much more rewarding. I hate classic JRPGs like some of the Dragon Quest games and stuff where you select the actions for your characters and who knows what fucking order they're going to attack in. Who knows if your healer is going to heal before the enemy hits your tank and actually needs to be healed, right? It's just fucking random. But
makes
this
everything
way, it's
feel
like
arbitrary.
yeah, like because in this game you know exactly who's going to be attacked, when they're going to be attacked, how much damage it's for. You can start structuring your team to like, wait a minute, I should make it so my healer is the slowest, but or is slow, but since my tank has a lot of abilities to draw aggro, I don't want him to go first, because if my wizard goes after him and like nukes an enemy with like a big spell, he's going to draw all the aggro. So I actually want my wizard to go first. So let me like slow down my knight a little bit, because I want him to like draw the aggro late in the round or whatever, and then have my healer go. It's stuff that you can only do that if you have all the information. In this game, you could tell it's sort of just because of how much of it is, how much there is. It's definitely like one of their design philosophies. You could tell that they want this sort of game to like not hide anything, and I like that. I respect that. So I'm enjoying this combat system. I'm enjoying the exploration. I don't know if there's like a story to be had, but let me tell you, when I first came across a boss and I killed it and I unlocked a new job class, like oof, tingles, man. I unlocked like the fencer job class, maybe even in this footage, and it's like, oh, what does the fencer do? Oh, it has its own skill tree and all these passes and stuff, and oh, it's like a crit based class. Like it was just really exciting. I get probably excited and all. I mean, my favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy Tactics, because I love a good job class system with a lot of options, and this is scratching some itches I didn't expect. I don't know. I've never seen this type of marriage of exploration based Minecrafty thing or whatever. And again, not Minecraft in terms of.
I have a weird question I'm gonna ask at the risk of sounding.
Sorry, I've been in a cave this whole time, but like it was organic exploration, and I just sort of found myself here in the pool of what was.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
On the other end, kind of kept me here.
I don't mean to sound. I don't even know what this is going to sound like. I'm just going to ask it. Is this an actual JRPG, or is this like a Western studio making their like?
What does that mean anymore?
No,
Japanese.
Is this an actual studio? Like, is this an actual like JRPG made in the East, or is this like this an indie studio here in the States making it? I'm just curious.
Oh, I mean, I'm assuming it's some.
It does.
I have no idea, but I'm assuming this is a Western indie develop. Like the only people making classic JRPGs anymore are like Western indie devs. You know what I mean?
There are certain things about this that seem strange to me. Like the emphasis on platforming just seems. I don't know.
Seems very Western.
It feels very well. See,
of course this is Western. Like I'm 95% sure this is Western made. But what I'm saying is indie games. First of all, there's not even a lot of indie games really made in Japan, and there's not like this. The people who are making homages to like Final Fantasy V are Western devs. They're not really like
fair enough
Japanese devs. You know what I mean?
I was purely asking out of my own curiosity. So.
No. You're right. Like the combat system, the battle system, all that is very classic. JRPG, but the world exploration stuff is very much not.
Yeah.
But again, even like a Cosmic Star Heroine, which is like super faithful to like Chrono Trigger or whatever. That's that's Western developed, because that's where those games are coming from, really. I mean, there's
gotcha. Fair enough. All right.
There's but it's cool. I don't know if it. There's not a lot of reviews for it, and I don't know. It did come out this year. It came out earlier this year. Yeah. But it's good. I mean, the Steam reviews seem really good, so I guess people like it. But man, that title's not helping. It's not helping.
And this is a full release.
Right? Yeah, this is a big long, I don't know, 50-hour open world RPG thing, and again, I didn't really like showcase it much in the footage, but like there's some like impressive scale and like vertical height, like stuff you
There was some
would
cool
not
stuff
expect.
in their footage earlier with like when you're on the
Yeah,
cliffside, you can see like the trees down below and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, that's all explorable world.
that's
It's
pretty
cool.
cool.
And the
I like
mounts
that.
make
Okay.
it a Metroidvania, I guess, in a way.
So I don't want to say much about this next game because I haven't played a ton of it, and it's also an easy game to spoil. But I am very late to the party here. I feel like everybody else here has played this at this point, and I have never touched it. I'm playing Telling Lies
Yeah,
for the
you
first
dolt.
time.
I'm proud of you, but
I did this. This is purely at Brad. I don't even know what prompted you to tell. Oh, it's because Immortality is coming out next.
Immortality's coming out, and I told you to play Her Story.
Yeah, I know. I had to pick. I wasn't.
Has
Gonna play
anyone else
both
here
before.
played Her Story before you talk? Krispy?
Crispy did.
Of course.
Okay, you've played Her Story. Have you? But far less people played Telling Lies. Telling Lies was less well received, or it's divisive. People really like it, and then there's people who really didn't vibe with the thing that it's doing that is very unique to her from her story. Her Story is the universally loved one that I begged you to start first, but
I know, but I had to make a decision because I wasn't gonna play both prior to Immortality.
no, I get you.
And
You watched the trailer and you saw all these nice ladies, and we're like,
No,
I want to play this one.
No,
The story is brilliant. I didn't play this one.
well,
Her Story's brilliant.
also,
This one is brilliant mechanically, but yeah.
Okay, well, how about this? Like, I knew everyone here had played Her Story. I don't remember a lot of conversations of us having about Telling Lies.
Oh.
I know I know some of us played. I know you played
Me
it,
and
Brad.
Nolan played it.
Nolan did.
I finished it for sure.
I mean, everybody knows where we feel about Her Story. If this ends up really sticking with me and I end up playing Immortality and I get through Telling Lies, of course I'll go back and play Her Story.
Yeah, but
can I get to talk? Can I actually talk about the game?
Yeah, go.
Oh, man, what do you even say about this game? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, what the fuck do I say about it? I've never played a Sam Barlow game, which
You have.
And so, God, yes, I'm sorry. I know he was involved in Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I know that now, but at the time when I played Shattered Memories, I had no idea who Sam Barlow was. It didn't even register for me.
Sure. But I mean, that's definitely,
Hey, it's that girl from Westworld.
It is the girl from Westworld. And the dude from Upgrade, and the as everybody in chat decided to call him,
and Storm from the new X-Men,
the poor man's Tom Hardy. Everyone was calling him.
Yeah, and Upgrade is basically a Venom movie, but like kind of better.
Yeah,
that's what I keep hearing.
You should definitely watch Upgrade, Nick.
I know. It's on my list of movies I want to watch. Oh shit! I don't know.
I wonder why Nick chose this one.
Hey, I was trying to make it spicy for the footage for get people to watch. But like, obviously, so if you're unfamiliar with this is a game where it's all FMV, all live action, and you are essentially playing a mystery character who sits down at a computer and is trying to piece together the events of a story that is all comprised of like one-way videos of one-way conversations on not one-way conversations, but one-way videos. You can see each video is
you can see one side of a Skype call.
Essentially, yes. So, but you can type in search queries and it pulls you'll jump around, so you kind of pick out keywords and you use that to kind of jump around and see every time someone says the word therapist, it'll find anytime anyone in the video says the word therapist. So, and it'll jump straight to that.
I will say the magic of this game is that you can search any word that is spoken in any of these videos, but they're shown chronologically, and you can only see like the first 5. And the way that they cleverly keep you from like jumping to like end game videos is that that word therapist might show up in a video towards the end of the game, but you're not going to get it by just searching therapist because you can only see the first 5 videos where the word therapist was said. And that in-game video might be like video 8, right? So these are very cleverly designed games. The real reason I suggested Her Story is because the most fascinating part about Telling Lies to me is how he took the idea of the mechanics of Her Story and evolved it in a new, interesting way, and how that's also going to go from what Telling Lies is to Immortality. It's more of the history lesson, Nick, but that's fine. I mean, how do you feel about this game? It's divisive.
I mean, it doesn't feel divisive to me. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it because it's telling, and it's certainly, there are lots of little nuggets of intrigue sprinkled throughout all these videos that make me go, ooh, what's that? Or who's this? Or what is the connection there? Or is there an easy way I think I can find the other side of this conversation so I can then piece together and try and figure out the conversation? Like, that stuff is really cool. And I think it's very interesting that he has chosen, especially with this like now what is going to be like a trilogy of games, the approach of it all being live action with like actual actors and stuff is very interesting. The thing on this is going to sound very maybe shallow of me. The thing that I think has always kept me from playing these games earlier is that I'm just not a huge fan of FMV, and because there's like the art direction of a video game is often a very large part of what draws me to a game. So like throwing in live actors with actual like camera footage, you know, it didn't immediately seem appealing to me. But this game does do really interesting things with it now that I'm actually sitting down.
I mean, the game is the puzzle, is puzzling out how to find the other part of a conversation.
But like the really cool thing, one of the coolest little details about this game that I think is really interesting is the character that you are actually playing as, sitting at the computer, is you can constantly see her reflection, because the whole game is like you looking at a computer monitor. So like you can see her reflection in the computer monitor, like moving around, like she's sitting in front of the computer watching these videos. And even when you like pause the game or you stop a video, like you're not pausing the action, you're pausing what she's watching. So she's still moving around, and it's just it's crazy. And today when I was recording this footage, actually something very unique happened. And it's the first time it happened to me at all, and I was like, "Oh, that's new." Like I saw something happen in the reflection of the monitor, but you couldn't really make it out in great detail because you're looking at a reflection. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it probably does to someone who knows what's going on. It's obviously trying to like tease stuff and add extra levels of intrigue, I guess. But like, it's really cool. It's very unique, and I wasn't really familiar with what was going on with Immortality, so I played this and I was like, okay, I get it. I like the approach. I'm interested now. So I watched the trailer for Immortality, which looks super cool. Also, looks like it's gonna be just right up Krispy's alley, I feel like. Have you watched the trailer for this for Immortality yet, Krispy?
Oh, because it's old like film footage or whatever. And
it's like you're piecing together like film footage, trying to figure out what happened to this actress. But it's like you're instead of combing through Skype calls,
I'm hoping
through like footage.
I'm hoping
like,
it's
movies.
A fucking horror game. I'm hoping
it looks kind of like a horror game.
Okay, so now that you've played some Telling Lies and snubbed Her Story, whatever. I mean, you know that Her Story is
also. I'm taking notes like in the little memo pad. Like I'm writing down like just random shit where I'm just like, okay, this person, I think this is her name, and I don't know if this is important, but she said she's really into this like kink. It's weird shit like that.
Sure, of course you wrote that down. You know,
it could be important.
You've heard me talk about both these games, and you probably know that Her Story. You know that Her Story, the award-winning Her Story, the game award-winning actress of Her Story is like the single. You're watching like police interrogation footage, right?
Right.
And you're trying to piece together this mystery, and like the mechanics of searching words and the order, and like the only being able to see the first 5 chronological. It's all the exact same in Her Story. That's kind of why, it's the way these games build on each other. I think Her Story works really good because it is like police interrogation. I mean, you're piecing together a mystery, and this so Telling Lies is divisive. I think the reason it's like mixed on Steam or whatever is because one, it's the rewinding, right? Like there's no option to skip to the beginning.
So
There's no option to just skip to the beginning of a video. When you search a
3
word
times
like
speed
therapist,
in this game is bullshit.
when you
I
search
think it's 3
like
times slower.
it's slow. It's slow. They're doing like a David Lynch thing or something. I don't know. They just don't want you to experience it the way you're trying to experience it. But whatever. And that's that when you search the word therapist, if they say the word therapist 6 minutes into a 7-minute video, if you want to watch that whole video, you got to rewind all the way to the beginning. You can't just skip to the beginning. I installed a mod that let me do that.
Scroll back to the beginning.
But I think they want you to do it like more organically, where you're not scrubbing to the beginning of every single video. But that's weird, right? That and because these are one-sided conversations, sometimes you're watching like a lot of just a person staring and listening to whoever's talking on the other side, which you can't hear. I really wish this game had a way to, when you match up videos, a mechanic that lets you play them next to each other, and they don't do that, and I don't get it. But so like those mechanics can be kind of finicky, even though it's like kind of brilliant what they did with that puzzle aspect. But the other thing is like the Her Story mystery, like it's kind of a cool story once you figure it out. There's like aha, and like, oh, this is a nice mystery story that it feels appropriate for like an FMB thing or whatever, right? Or a detective game, because these are essentially detective games. You feel like a detective doing the research, right? But like the story in Telling Lies is pretty stupid. And I think that's a lot of reason that people don't like it as much, is because when you get to the end, you're like, man, this went to some pretty silly places.
Well, don't say that. I'm like in the middle. I'm like in the middle of this.
You'll get there. You're not going to stop. I'm sure you're crushing on all these women. So you'll make it to the end.
Bitch, you came into my chat and told me you were crushing on Storm. Don't.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying she's a good actress.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Everybody in this game is very pretty. Like everyone. It's a very pretty cast.
But
that had nothing to do with why I chose this game. But it was a nice plus.
I don't believe you, but it's fine. Yeah. So I'm excited about Immortality now that you've experienced some of this less renowned one from Sam Barlow. Are you super excited about Immortality? I'm excited.
I super excited. I don't know. Interested, intrigued, and planning on playing it. Absolutely.
Once you the thing about it's not a spoiler, but the thing about these games that I find super fascinating is I feel like something like Oberdin or even like Gone Home or something, where all of the detective work pretty much is like driven by yourself. And most detective games or games with detectives or Batman or whatever, it's more about like, oh, there's a little scenario and you have to find the answer. And the answer concludes the detective little scenario. Like these games, especially the Sam Barlow ones, are not about answers. You're still like, the thing you put together in your head is what you're going to leave with in these games. And that was like, I think especially effective in something like Her Story, because like it's a police investigation and sometimes that's just how it be, right? And there's no like at the end of the game, you got it, gumshoe. Like it doesn't work like that. It's not really open-ended, but it's like it's mature in that it handles that,
right.
It handles that in the way I feel like a type of game like this should, right? And even like something like Oberdin did, right? Where it's like, you got all the insurance money, I guess. I mean, you got a lot of the insurance money and the story that but your ending is not really, hey, you did it,
It's
insurance
like,
guy. It's more about the story that you put together in your head, right? And that's what is cool about
really
these games.
You had along the way.
It is. And more quote unquote detective games should sort of take a step back and realize that that's the important part, I guess.
Well, I'm gonna finish this, and then I'm gonna play Immortality, and at some point, I'm gonna play Her Story. Dude, Immortality comes out next week, and now it's on my radar. So,
Sure.
It's how it's as you just said. It's how it be. All right, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about Gamescom a little bit. We're gonna answer some questions, and we'll wrap up with the 4-player minute. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. So he might be joining us again shortly. If not, oh well. The three of us are going to finish off this show.
It's a tech issue. Is a
Yeah.
particularly tricky blue-black deck that he's fighting against right now.
Brad's all about putting people on blast tonight. All right.
Really is.
Let's talk about opening night live. It's Gamescom this week. So, video game announcements. This is another one of Keighley's big shows that he does at this point. He's like at this point he does what? He does Key 3 what is it? What's it? Summer Game Fest? Is that what it's called?
Summer Game Fest.
Summer Game Fest, Opening Night Live, and the Game Awards, the big trifecta. Now that E3 doesn't really exist in the traditional sense anymore, he's kind of, taken over. So here we are. But Gamescom,
He's not taking
obviously
over, right? I feel like Key 3 was kind of a whiff a little bit in terms of hype, and now that E3's coming back for real next year,
I'll believe it when I see it, though. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
but you heard that the company that runs like PAX and Comic-Con and a lot of major cons is taking over E3 now. So
Yeah.
it's probably got, a chance of actually being a real thing again.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Absolutely. It very, very well could be. So, Gamescom, I'd say it's like what? It's like Europe's PAX,
It's not
one of the
PAX. Gamescom is like the largest public gaming convention in the world.
I was gonna. I guess you could call it. You could compare it to E3 now because E3 was open to the public the past few years. But Gamescom has always been for the fans, and then they always do opening night live. And it's just another venue for companies to make announcements and whatnot. So opening night live has been pretty big in the past couple of years. In fact, unless I'm mistaken, I feel like opening night live was where they first showed off The Last of Us Part 2, I think. There's been some pretty high profile announcements that come through here. That was the first time. It was a very, very brief tease. I could be. It was the trailer where they had like the camera panning over the
trees,
the
neighborhood,
but that was an already
like
known game, right? At the time.
No. I think that was the first time that we knew it was like, okay, it's coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think you're wrong.
The point is, okay, maybe I'm wrong. The point is,
let's move on.
It was the first time we saw anything of The Last of Us Part 2. Big stuff happens at opening night live. Not every year, but
not
this year. All right, so there were quite a few announcements and things shown for the first time. Per usual, we're not going to go over every little thing because not every little thing at this thing is particularly interesting to us or up our alley.
What are the highlights?
We're gonna hit the highlights. It's Krispy not being here sucks because the first thing of like real interest I think to any of us might be that Dune Awakening, the open world Dune MMO. And the entire time I was watching this trailer, I was sitting here thinking, this is Dune. Holy fuck, this is Dune. I'm a relatively new Dune fan. I'm excited about Dune. Oh my god. Open world Dune game could be amazing. Please don't be an MMO. Please don't be an MMO. And of course, it's a fucking
an
MMO.
Open world survival game MMO.
I love open world is my jam. Survival is my jam. MMO pretty much guarantees I'm never gonna touch it.
No. Survival in the sense like Rust, not Resident Evil. I mean,
No. I know, but like Subnautica is a survival game. The Long Dark is a survival. I rate both of those games very, very, very highly.
I mean, this project is from the developers behind Conan Exiles, the game that launched with the giant penis slider, entering the character creation.
Again, a very different type of game, but
I mean that's probably the formula for what this game is. Just like because Conan Exiles was a open world survival game.
With
that said, do we care about this since Krispy's not here?
Oh man, remind me if Krispy does manage to make it back into this call before the end of the show. Remind me to bring this up because I do want to get his take on it. I know Krispy is a pretty big Dune fan, and Krispy is like the only person among us who doesn't really mind playing MMOs. So I'm interested to hear his take.
I don't even think Krispy plays these survival games like Rust and Conan Exiles.
He played Subnautica, didn't he?
Subnautica's not one of those. But speaking of Subnautica, they announced their next project, and I was somewhat excited. Yeah, Unknown Worlds announced their next game. It is Moonbreaker, that tactical game where you paint your minifigs, and it's kind of like XCOM meets Hearthstone with kind of a tacky art style. It looks almost like Borderlands Tactics.
Oh man, I did not put two and two together. I did not realize that was the Subnautica team.
Well, they said as much, but Moonbreaker. When I heard it was the Subnautica devs doing a tactics game like XCOM, I was kind of interested when they started, and then they showed it, and I wasn't really a fan of the art style. It seemed very busy, which I don't really like that in a tactics game. And then I found out that this is mostly like a PvP tactics game like Hearthstone, and I'm out. I'm out completely. So I'm bummed that the next project from the people who make Subnautica, a game I love, is a game I'm probably not going to play.
I do.
Well, it was front loaded with like real big hype to it because they come out, Keighley comes out and says, "Oh, this is Unknown World's next big game," and then he ties it into leading into the trailer with Brandon Sanderson, a very acclaimed fantasy and sci-fi author, hyping up this universe that he's written for this game, and then he shows the trailer and it's miniature combat, and I'm like, what?
Okay, so I first of all, I don't mean to sound judgmental of these things because like a game with miniature combat could be really cool, but like something about the art style of this just screams
tacky. It looked like Borderlands Tactics.
Yeah, well, you're saying tacky, and but I'm trying to think of like what's that game? When I worked at the last few years that I worked at GameStop back in the day, it was like the thing that Spyro was a part of. What was that fucking franchise? Skylanders. It was reminding me of Skylanders, and I was like, this is not. This is not rubbing me the right way. So I
visually to me it looks a lot like Overwatch, honestly. But
that kind of. But like they're figurines and they don't actually really animate exactly, and it's a look. But the problem is when they zoomed out, it was just kind of like it's just a vomit of colors, and I couldn't really parse anything that was going on. It didn't look. It doesn't matter. It's a 1v1 game, and this is another Krispy game, and he's probably excited because you get to paint minifigs, and he's all about D&D, and he's probably excited about Brandon Sanderson because he's a fantasy novel guy, and maybe he cares about the Stormlight Archive or some shit. I don't fucking know. I don't, so let's move on.
File this under Ask Krispy if he makes it back to the show. I know, Brad, you're inclined to jump around a bit. Oh, he's here.
Yeah, I am excited about it.
Are you recording?
No.
You should start.
Oh, he literally popped into this call.
He's playing Magic.
That's not going to come back.
Maybe this is all a scam. Maybe he was faking it and just didn't want to actually be on the rest of the show.
It's possible. He's going to hold his feet to the fire later. All right.
Well, what other games is Krispy excited about and we're super not?
New Tales from the Borderlands, right? Nobody's excited for that game.
I like Tales from the Borderlands, but I will say I like Tales from the Borderlands a lot. I will say
I was joking about
that. I wasn't really vibing with this trailer. It didn't seem, but again, I don't think I was vibing with like.
Is it because the new characters that it wasn't recognizable?
No, I mean the new characters, the writing, the jokes, the bits. I mean, I'm saying I just wasn't vibing with it. It didn't seem all that funny or interesting to me. But I guess trailers of Tales from the Borderlands didn't really like connect with me either. So I don't know. We'll see. But these aren't the same people technically. Maybe they have some of the same people, but. We'll see. Seeing Randy Pitchford up there talking about it doesn't help.
That was weird.
But yeah, I just really wasn't vibing with what they showed, so we'll see.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
We'll see.
one game I'm excited for.
Well, wait. Are you going to play it, Nick?
No, of course not. I told
Okay.
you, I'm never
glad
touching
you're
Tales from
honest.
the Borderlands. Y'all ruined it. I'm never gonna touch it. I've put my foot
Nick,
down.
we've had this conversation.
Fuck all y'all.
You were at peace with the fact that you played that first episode and you just didn't care for it as much as you thought maybe we did or you would have. And the real reason you never finished Tales from the Borderlands is because it ain't your thing. And just admit to it. We didn't ruin shit, Nick. You know, that's some petty
No,
baby shit.
I
for
did
you to
actually.
snot.
I did actually enjoy that first episode. I'm not making that up.
Well, then you
But
should have kept playing.
people would not shut up about me playing.
Oh,
Tales
so
from the
you
Borderlands.
you liked it, but you liked it as much as you liked something like Control, like 10th favorite game of the year, that sort of slot, right?
What?
Just keep going. What else we got?
All right.
You Dying
they
Light
showed-
2 liked it.
Well,
What the fuck, Brad? What are you talking about? This motherfucker
what
is
the
just
fuck, Brad?
going for the throat tonight. Okay.
one game I'm excited for that they showed off was
Same as Chris
Stranded
Davis.
Alien Dawn.
What?
This is
What?
this-
Why are
no,
none of these games on my list?
no, I'm
'Cause you only
reading
wrote
the
down
announcements,
some
man.
of
What are
them.
you talking about?
Wait, say it again, Chris Davis.
Stranded Alien Dawn.
I didn't get that
What?
one either.
That's
This
just
was-
3 words strung together. What the fuck?
This
Strand-
was a game that was announced. It was so one of the things about Opening Night Live that everyone just does not like is the fact that a lot of what was shown was mostly cinematic trailers. So you really
Well,
couldn't
that's
actually see
every-
gameplay. That was just a running theme.
That's every show like this is
But
like
but it feels
mostly cinematic
more
trailers.
egregious right now. You know,
Does it
but
though? Does it
this game kind of looks interesting. It's from Highmont, the developers behind the recent Tropico games, as well as I think it was
Sorry,
Surviving
the recent
Mars?
what?
The Tropico
recent what?
games.
Oh, Tropico.
Yeah.
Wait. What is this game called again? I'm googling it right now.
Stranded Alien Dawn.
Dawn. Okay.
Evidently, it's a sci-fi game where you crash land on an alien planet, and you go explore and you build someplace
like
to
a s-
live.
Okay, I vaguely remember this. Looking
Can
at
I just say
screenshots.
that Geoff Keighley has a shocking ability to get games in his shows that are indie games about space and stuff, because that's all Key 3 was, and that's most of what Opening Night Live was.
And
That's
he literally at Gamescom they literally had someone from the International Space Station talking.
Geoff Keighley
talking-
just loves space. You know what can I talk about my Opening Night Live conspiracy that people think I'm crazy
hold
about?
on. Let Chris Davis finish his pitch for Alien.
Oh, I thought he
Stranded
did. I
Alien
thought he
Dawn.
did.
I mean that's my pitch. I can't describe it anymore because it was a cinematic trailer, but it looks fun. I want to play that, and it goes
alright.
into early access in October.
So they
I'm gonna
announced
go
the
ahead-
new Quantic Dream game, or as Geoff Keighley called it, that's Opening Night Live.
Well, just
You're right.
just asterisk on what you just said, Brad. Quantic Dream published game. This is their first game they're actually publishing for another developer.
Wait, are you sure?
Yes.
I mean, the
game is
trailer
being
said
developed by
Quantic Dream.
Yeah, but it's being developed by Parallel Studios. Quantic Dream
that?
has announced that they were going to start publishing, I think, last year or the year before.
That's good
But
news because I was really hesitant to even play this game when I thought it was Quantic Dream developing.
Wait, why? You don't like Quantic Dream?
I do, but this, David Cage in particular, just I don't know.
Sure. Well, what about their Star Wars game?
I mean, do I even like Star Wars anymore? I don't even know. I don't
Alright.
even fucking know.
Anyways, the thing is Geoff Keighley comes out and he says, he's usually about oh, I'm hyped, I'm excited about this new one, it looks great. Here comes the next game from this developer or whatever. You've been waiting. Word for word, maybe I don't remember the word for word, but he says, well, this next company wanted to have a spot in Opening Night Live, so here's their game from this French studio. And it's the Quantic Dream game, and I'm like, was that Geoff Keighley kind of slightly talking shit about Quantic Dream because everyone is anti-Quantic Dream these days because of the reason everybody hates Quantic Dream besides the fact that everybody already hated David Cage, is that really shitty studio culture. And then when a couple of French like journalists tried to like uncover it, they like they sued them for libel or whatever,
Right.
and actually won one of those cases, which I hear are pretty easy to win in like Europe. So like that's such a fucked up thing to do, So no one, I mean, they're just people hate Quantic Dream. So yeah, it's but it's just funny because Geoff Keighley, he green lights what is in his show, but at the same time, is he like doing some weird slight? Go back and look at it. It's very strange.
Oh, I remember
But
thinking it was strange too, but I also
I
thought
don't know.
that
It's some underwater shit.
to me, that also made more sense to me when I thought it was Quantic Dream developing. Now that Chris Davis has pointed out that it's the publishing thing, it makes a little bit less sense to me because I don't think he would slight the developer if
Well,
you know what I mean.
I mean, maybe Quantic Dream is publishing because they're trying to get their name officially off projects they might be responsible for. I don't know. I'm not saying this isn't them.
I will
but
say this game that we're talking about is called Under the Waves, and I was watching it thinking this looks really cool. It's kind of a shame it's Quantic Dream.
I still like Quantic Dream games. So
I know. I mean,
I don't
dude, I like Quantic Dream games too. I just hate David
Detroit
Cage
was
and the
cool.
whole. And I don't like David Cage. It's one of those things. It's just one of those things.
Even the ways that Detroit was super cringy, I kind of enjoyed because it was cringy. So I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Connor was cool,
but I am looking forward to Under the Waves. Looked really cool. It's one of those things I was like, this looks like something I would totally enjoy.
Space underwater is basically just space of a different
reverse space.
Kind. Yeah, reverse space. So everything was a very similar vibe throughout, which is kind of how Key 3 was as well. So I don't know.
So
not a lot of
space,
stuff for me.
They showed more Callisto Protocol.
Can I say that Callisto Protocol is a game that I've been kind of excited about, but after going back and watching that segment again, didn't love the segment that they showed this time.
That wasn't a good demonstration of the game, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
it seems jankier than I realized now that I've seen this segment. It's also weird that he's picking up people and like flinging them, and then like how much power does he actually have to do that? Because it's weird that he does that and then does a little stealth and then does that again, and it's like that little power balance seems a little wacky that he could just dispose of a dude in a big spinning grinder thing very easily. And
here's the thing, I do feel like some of these segments they've been showing off. First of all, I think it's really a bad idea to be showing a game like this off in very, very, very short burst. We're talking like less than a minute of gameplay that is almost meant to entirely just show off how brutally you can kill enemies or yourself.
But the gameplay segments that they've shown at previous shows have been like more exciting than this one.
Yeah, no, I think this was a poor showing of it. I'm still excited to play it, and I do still have faith that it's going to be a pretty solid love letter to Dead Space. But this one was just kind of an odd choice to show off. Especially they ended it with one of those like dumb like sliding down a water slide. You know what I mean? Like one of those like scripted moments.
Yeah.
The shooting in the melee looked a little iffy. That's what I've gathered from that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. It's still planted firmly on my list of like most anticipated for the year.
Sure.
But that was a weird showing. They announced the Lords of the Fallen, which is a reboot of Lords of the Fallen. Which
that's something that needs a the.
Yeah, that was such a weird thing. And as someone who knows almost nothing about Lords of the Fallen, other than it was not received very well, I don't know what to say about this. They showed more Hogwarts Legacy, which obviously I'm very excited about. But again, was not a very.
That's another trailer that didn't really set the world on fire.
Yeah, the problem with that is that it was a story trailer, and it was really focused on like the dark magic and all that stuff. And
they were just trying to emphasize like the dark magic thing and like making the choice between whether you actually go down the path of like learning some of the darker
Yeah,
spells and
but
stuff.
like ever since like the fourth Harry Potter movie, they've leaned way too much into that. I think it's like
Fourth Harry Potter movie? What do you mean the fourth Harry Potter book? Like this, the movies are pretty
no,
much following the books.
The books were eventually pretty dark, but like I think they leaned way heavier into it, starting with the fourth book's adaptation, and it's been going downhill from there. Like,
okay,
what are we talking about? I just wanted to see some more gameplay.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah. I could talk to you about that much longer than I want to right now. But,
Yeah.
I just in brief, I would say that I kind of miss like the happy-go-lucky mystical aspects of a fucking wizarding school in a secret society where
but that was like the first movie and a half.
Okay,
but yeah, we should move on.
This was another showing where I was like, I don't think it showed its best. You know, it didn't put its best foot forward for the showing. It's just kind of another weird selection of like things to show off or focus on in a trailer. Still easily one of my most anticipated games. We already talked about Borderlands, new Dying Light 2 DLC. Is this where you wanted to talk about this, Brad?
Talk about what?
About Dying Light 2 and how I secretly hate it or something.
You mean Dead Island 2?
Well, it's not so much of a secret, but
there was DLC
no. It's more when you get to Dead Island, I guess.
All right. Well, I have almost no interest in this DLC, but we'll talk about that.
Of course
later,
not.
I guess. They showed Destiny 2 Lightfall. Can't say much about that other than
sure wish Krispy was here.
I do wish I was watching that trailer for Destiny 2. Had no idea I was watching a trailer for Destiny 2. I thought I was watching some like budget ass like third person shooter that like I was like tuning it out, and then when I saw the Destiny 2 logo, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Oh god, Crispy's here.
Why are we talking about Destiny 2? Oh, Crispy's here.
Hey,
He heard us. He heard us.
Destiny 2 Lightfall, huh?
Yeah.
He can't talk on this podcast if he's not recording.
Hang on. I'm recording.
What?
All right, cool. He's recording.
Okay.
Destiny 2 Lightfall, Crispy.
Yeah. Look pretty cool, I guess.
Could be cool.
Look cool. It definitely has that neon vibe. Like it's got some kind of vibe going on, which
you mean the Stranger Things vibe.
all about the vibes. That's not a Stranger Things.
How you liking the fact that you're going to get a grappling hook?
Oh yeah, that's weird, right? It looks like, so that's going to be the new darkness subclass. They've only had one darkness based subclass so far, and that was Stasis, and this one is called Strand, and it looks like the big
Strand game.
Yeah, it's a Strand. Yeah, Destiny 2 is a Strand game now, and it looks like the big kind of hallmark features that grappling hook. Who knows how that's gonna work?
Bungie ripping off Halo.
They're gonna make like new content. Yeah, right. They're gonna make new content to. Use grappling hooks now.
I mean, imagine that's gonna really just change how traversal works throughout that entire game, and to make that retroactively work across all the maps, like.
Yeah, I will. We don't know that that's happening. We don't know that that's happening. So
Art for the horse, there, Chris Davis.
Actually,
Crispy.
we don't know. Someone out there might. I don't know. They might. There might be answers to this. I didn't really look into it. I'm still like in my on again, off again thing with Destiny. I tried going back. The problem is, I can't go back alone. Like I really want to be there and I want to play, but I just can't be there alone. Like because it just locks me out of too much fun stuff that I want to do. I can't do dungeons. I can't do raids. I can't I can't. I don't know. It just kind of sucks. But they also yesterday launched the new season, which is called like Season of the Swashbuckler or something like that. It's like a pirate themed season, space pirates. It looks kind of cool. It looks kind of fucking cool. Fuck yeah. I don't know, man. They keep sucking me back in, but never enough to like keep me. So
yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to hear some big stuff about this one to go back, I think.
Real quick, Crispy, we talked about this earlier, but you weren't here. I just wanted to get your take. What did you think of that Dune MMO announcement? If you even had thoughts about it, I don't know.
Looks pretty cool. I love Dune. It's the same studio that did Conan.
Yeah.
Conan Exiles.
Slider. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if that's what this is, if it's just like, oh, this is Conan Exiles, but Dune, that could be pretty cool. Like, I mean, that would be fun. That's another one of those, like, I played that game very recently because I was going through this whole like, oh, I gotta find a open world survival building game because that's what I'm feeling right now. And I played a few of them. They're all really fun, but again, the problem with that is it's like if I'm doing it alone, it just feels hollow and weird, and it's like it's hard for me to get excited about that because I don't think anyone else I know is going to be like, "Oh, we got to go play that Dune Builder game," you know? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No, I feel you.
Whatever. We'll
All
see.
right.
If your friends aren't there to laugh at your little dangling penis, then what's the point?
I know, right? It's just a little hanger.
Oh man,
Jesus.
what do you think? Could it be Dune with a penis slider?
It could be. I mean, I don't know. That like I don't know. They might not do it for Dune. Like I think there was something about it that was like just so very much that like Conan sword and sorcery
Oh, yeah.
vibe. Like there should
Oh
be
yeah.
like people with their dicks out and their tits flopping around in a Conan story because that's just kind of what Conan was, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. So for the sake of
But think of
moving
all
along here.
think of all the sandworm jokes. Shai Hulud of the deep desert, the old man of the desert. Oh, my Shai Hulud. Yeah. Walk without rhythm or you're gonna attract the worm, baby.
Damn.
What else
You're
you got
not
on
wrong.
your hype list, Nick?
All right, here we go. I'm gonna rattle off a few things. We're gonna do quick thoughts on them. Right? We don't need to go into crazy detail on all of these. They showed more Return to Monkey Island. Still looks cool, right? I guess everybody here. Are we into that? Is that a thing? Everybody. Brad, what? Why are you laughing?
Because no, we're not Monkey Island people. Are we funny
You're not a
British
Monkey
people?
Island
Come
person?
on.
Okay, fine. Friends versus Friends. I thought that actually looked pretty cool. Although, ironically, I don't remember why I thought it looked cool, other than I was like, okay, this looks like...
It had nice art style.
Doesn't sound like a Nick game.
It doesn't sound like a Nick game, which is why I was kind of like, that's weird that this looks appealing to me. But it did. But
it's another one of those trailers where you're like, what the fuck is this game? It's just a cartoon.
Well,
Yeah,
you don't get to know what the gameplay is until after they roll the title, and it turns out it's like colorful neon white.
Yeah, it's the neon white looking game.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Ooh,
I don't like that.
They showed Lies of P, and there's actually been lots of gameplay. There's been like a 10-minute, 12-minute gameplay thing that's come out of Gamescom from this. This is the Souls-like Pinocchio game, which I'm actually quite excited for, just in terms of like, it looks like Bloodborne, but like through the lens of Pinocchio.
Right now? I think there's a demo.
No, but I think they're demoing it at. I think
oh wait, no,
it's
the other one. It's the other one that you're excited about. The other one of these. By the one by the one by
Steel Rising.
Steel Rising. That's
there's a beta.
There's a demo for that.
Yeah,
beta.
There's a beta.
Okay.
It's from the Greedfall guys, and
To me, those are like the same games.
Right, but Lies of P.
Is his nose ever going to get long? That's what I want to know.
That's the only question I have about this, because it looks like a really cool spin on it. But I'm just like, what exactly is the Pinocchio aspect here? Because he doesn't look like a wooden boy. His name is Pinocchio, and I'm pretty sure
a wooden arm.
That's not a wooden arm. It's got like a metal arm.
Well, metal arm, whatever. It's not a human arm.
Geppetto made him, I guess, right? And,
yeah,
I think part of the trailer he had like a little light and like a lantern that was talking, and I bet that's Jiminy Cricket.
That's could be, yeah. I mean, but like the point is, I think this looks pretty fucking neat. I still want to go watch that full gameplay walkthrough of it. But everything I've seen so far, it's just one of those indie Souls-like games that looks pretty inspired. So I have my eye on that. We got our first look at the Expanse, the Telltale game. We know Chris Davis is excited for this. I'm pretty excited for it too.
They got Kara G to actually come back and play drummer. That's exciting.
I mean, I think it's all very exciting, except the new Telltale. We still don't really know what the new Telltale is. You know what I mean? Like, we know they're working on another season of The Wolf Among Us. We know they're making they're making that new Tales from the Borderlands, right?
No, that's entirely Gearbox.
That's
Let
entirely
me
Gearbox.
ask you something. You're excited exclusively because you like The Expanse, right?
Are you asking me or Chris Davis?
No, Chris Davis.
I mean,
Or
80% I like
is
The
there
Expanse.
shit that what? You do like The Expanse, right?
Yeah, I love The Expanse.
But
It's a
that's why
great
you're
fucking show.
But are you responding to your love of The Expanse and the fact that it's getting a video game, or are you more responding to like what you've seen and what they've shown? Because Telltale has made plenty of games with like incredible IP that people have loved, and some of those games like Game of Thrones or whatever have still kind of come out as kind of like
But
So
the
no,
other side of
know.
that coin
get
is
that
that this is a
perspective.
totally different year. This is a totally different Telltale. So we know literally nothing about what this new Telltale is.
Until this new trailer, Brad, I was 100% about the IP and the fact that you play as drummer. That was my thing. When I saw this trailer, I started shifting towards gameplay because they were showing off you going off ship and
way you
exploring
move
wrecks, and
around,
there's like a
yeah.
it
fucking
does
serial
look-
killer out there. That sounds cool.
It does look like it's way more interesting than the typical like Telltale, like the way you interact with the world. So that's pretty cool.
I would like to watch that series, but
it's pretty good. I'm
It's
still
really
only
fucking good, Brad.
Yeah, but why is Nick not hyped?
what? I'm hyped. I mean, I'm not.
No.
Chris Davis
Like, why
levels of
have you
hyped
not
for it, but-
binged that series or whatever? Or why
Dude,
has
'cause
Crispy not binged that series? He's the sci-fi guy.
Here's the thing, dude. I binge like one season of like a show, and then I move on to another season, another show, and I just like bounce around. Like that's why it's taken so long.
I read
That's
the
why
first book of The Expanse.
Okay, but how do you feel about the show?
I've never watched the show.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. They announced a Killer Clowns from Outer Space game, which is weird, but cool, I guess.
It's by the Friday the 13th developer, and it's going to be one of those.
Well,
so.
no, it's not even him. It's not even that studio doing it. It's a different team. They just happen to grab the executive producer from Friday the 13th game. So
Okay, well, sure. That's a strange IP choice, but
But you know what? It's not a bad idea.
Dude, I think just the vibe of that game is going to be hilarious, and I think it'd be a fun.
It's not a
night.
good movie. It's not.
No, it's not.
I mean, that movie was a throwback to classic 50s pseudo horror movies.
The look of the clowns is the thing that people are like, and I guess that's
dare I say it. I think Killer Clowns from Outer Space will make a better video game than a movie.
Yeah, I mean it's supposed to be a asymmetrical 3v7 team-based game.
All I'm saying is, if this is even remotely good, I think we should do a community night for it because it could be it could be fun.
What else we got?
I think it's really weird that they announced the Killer Clowns from Outer Space game less than a week after D&D put out a supplement that also like specifically named
Spelljammer.
Yeah, and when they were advertising it, we're specifically being like, "Yeah, this is from Killer Clowns from Outer Space because we love that movie." Like, what's happening? What is happening?
What is happening in the world right now? Okay,
maybe they're actually coming.
Gotham Knights. They showed more Gotham Knights.
Probably the best trailer Gotham Knights has gotten.
Oh, the villain
it was
trailer?
a story. It was a story-centric trailer, which also,
I
by the way,
don't like how Clayface was just like doing theater cliches for 9 minutes. Was like, it looks like it's time for curtains, Batgirl, or like shit like that. It's like, okay, we get it. You were an actor. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
call me crazy, but I feel like that's the kind of thing that Crispy you would normally be all about. Like that.
I think it's tough because. Well, I guess, but like they do the whole trailer and like the tone of the game isn't really all that super comic booky. And I don't know, it might also just be due to the fact that Harley Quinn has Clayface as a main cast member, played by Alan Tudyk, and it's a completely ridiculous like new interpretation of the character, but it is
Wait, that's Alan Tudyk?
It's the one that's stuck in my head right now. Yeah, he plays like 3 people in that show.
No, this is a game that I guess I would play if it's well received. I mean, I like the Arkham games, but it's also something where like I have never like they've shown this game like a bunch of times, and I've never been able to watch more than like 5 seconds of footage without just looking away and doing something else.
The combat and the world just looks so fucking boring to me.
I've only seen snippets of 5 seconds each time, so I have no idea.
This is I am totally excited to play this game, but I fully admit that it could go either way at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they're. I don't want to call them necessarily cowards, but like they're not showing combat against more than 3 guys. That's not in a gigantic fucking arena. Like, show me scale. Show me like big conflicts and actual
trailer
fights that are worth watching.
All right,
I will
you
say
guys
this
are
trailer
getting weird.
this trailer was cut together like an actual trailer, showed a lot of action, showed a lot of focus on the story, characters, villains, which is what I've been kind of wanting to see from like the actual gameplay demonstrations forever, and they've just never shown it. So this could genuinely just be one of those situations where like they've just picked the worst things to like highlight in their marketing, or it could just be that's what the game is.
Did anybody have a chance to watch the 16 minutes of Batgirl gameplay? Or the
Yeah.
Harley Quinn boss fight they put out.
Oh no, I haven't watched that. Did you? Is it good?
No, I haven't.
Oh fuck. Okay. Well, I'm gonna do that later. So they showed some game called Where Winds Meet, which
That looks kind of good.
What is that? What is
that's
that?
it was like the
Romance of the Three Kingdoms meets Ninja Gaiden.
I think I
yeah,
missed that presentation.
I don't know. I'm not sold on that yet. And then
I think I just didn't see it.
All right, let's talk about it. They closed with Dead Island 2, which we knew was coming.
The big one. The big you forgot that they opened with Everywhere. Leslie Benzie's Everywhere.
And they
ended
we're
with
gonna skip
Dead
out some
Island
stuff.
2.
So the thing is, the Dead Island 2 announcement is kind of a big deal. It's a big deal in the sense.
It's not. Don't say that.
Don't
say that.
Dude, shut up. It's a big deal in the sense that this is a game that everybody assumed was dead,
but nobody wants to.
We know
in the
it's
first
not,
place.
and it's also been completely rebooted from the ground up.
Twice.
It is not the same game that we saw at E3 6 years ago or whatever. It is not the same game that was parodied by Goat Simulator 3 at Key 3 this year. It is a completely different game at this point. Takes place in LA, and obviously it's leaning into the more zany elements of the zombie apocalypse that that are not a major component of something like Dying Light 2. And that is your opening, Brad, to now come at me about Dying Light 2.
Oh, well, you don't like that game, but you say you do, and you're excited about this, even though it's like silly and not serious. And you typically like the more serious stuff and not the zany stuff. Also, this one doesn't have parkour. Also,
that we know of.
The story of this game is barely a story of this game because most people don't know it, because most people didn't care about Dying Light 2 when it was first announced, or canceled and rebooted, or moved over to 18 different studios. No one actually knows that story because no one wanted Dying Light 2, because saying that it's back is like a big deal. It's like saying, you know what, that Army of Two game that got canceled is back, baby. We're like, oh yeah, Army of Two. Who cares about Dead Island? Like, seriously.
Well,
here's the other thing. Dead Island came out and it was okay. Dead Island Riptide came out. That wasn't any good. Escape from Dead Island came out. That was fucking awful, from what I understand. Exactly.
It was.
You don't even know.
Person.
Did you know there was a Dead? Did you know there was a Dead Island MOBA?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I respond? Because
sorry. Go ahead.
Let me say, I am excited for this game. But that excitement doesn't necessarily translate to me saying that I think this is going to be good, or it's a surefire hit. And the points that you made about me typically liking the more serious tone stuff is completely accurate. But what you said about me hating or not liking Dying Light, patently false. I like Dying Light 2.
Two. Oh.
I know, Dying Light 2. I like Dying Light 2. I played it for like 60 to 70 hours. Like, I like that game.
That's why you brought up that DLC. Well, then how come you're not interested in that more zany DLC?
Because if I'm not I'm typically not interested in playing DLC for a game, like, especially if it's story centric DLC specifically. Which I don't. Maybe this is not story centric DLC. I don't know. My biggest complaint with Dying Light 2 is that it's nothing. Like, serious, the tone has nothing to do with it. It is the fact that, like, it seems like the writers had absolutely no fun writing it. it's boring, and the drama that's there is barely engaging at all. And that's not even something I usually say when talking about the story of Dying Light 1, because kind of like what Krispy was saying about Saints Row earlier, is just like it's, it doesn't blow your socks off, but it was entertaining enough, and it passed the hours, and I enjoyed it. Dying Light 2 is like, I got to the point where I was actively avoiding story quests because I was like, it's been dull this entire time. But the gameplay in Dying Light 2 is fucking phenomenal. And
that's funny. I like both Dying Light's games.
And
I care about, I feel the story.
I don't know.
But Dead Island 2,
I don't think the mechanics are as good as everyone says they
are.
Well,
they're not.
Agree to disagree, but like Dead Island 2 is interesting to me because I feel on some level like I was robbed playing Dying Light 2, because there was an element of that game that was, I think Dying Light 1 is like fun. It like, the story is stupid, silly, Michael Bay fun. I don't even feel that way about Dying Light 2. And Dead Island, even though it is silly and zany and leaning into like kind of the crazier aspects that I'm usually not that into, if it can capture a fraction of the Dying Light 2 gameplay that I love, and make the story
is like the coolest part, and the verticality
we
is
don't
the coolest
know,
part.
We don't know. We've only seen one full trailer of this game at this point. We don't know if parkour or verticality is going to play a major role.
But that's not part of Dead Island.
It takes place in Los Angeles. It's not even an island. Like, who?
And Dead Island's all. I mean, LA is also really like flat.
There's skyscrapers. There's skyscrapers in LA. Like, it's flat with skyscrapers. So like,
I mean, the problem with what they showed off was that the gameplay that they showed was heavily cut with very little character movement going on. It was just basically you doing combat against zombies. So you have no idea what the actual movement system is like. So I would not discount them, having looked at how successful and well received the movement and parkour systems of Dying Light were, for them to say, oh, let's just go ahead and incorporate that into our game.
Well, it's probably not that simple.
There's so many zombie games. It's weird that they ended anything with
kettle of fish. We don't need to talk about that.
It's weird they ended anything with the Dead Island 2. From from the developer of Homefront: The Revolution?
Yeah.
Let's just say they chose to end with Dead Island 2 because of the shock value. Because it was also, that would have hit a lot harder had it not leaked like 2 days prior to the event. Like, imagine if we didn't see that coming at all, and it was like, what the fuck? Like, that's what they were going for. And at some point, it's just too late to change the plans. So I'm cautiously interested. I don't even want to say optimistic. Cautiously interested in Dead Island 2.
You're kind of a mark for zombie stuff, though, right?
I do like zombie stuff. Yes, absolutely. I do love zombie stuff.
That's fair.
Do you guys like the first-person melee combat against zombies in Dead Island?
In Dead Island or Dying Light?
Or in Dying Light?
It was better in Dead Island than Dying Light, right?
Disagree entirely.
I disagree.
But see, Dead Island has...
I asked because I think it's bad. And I think you have to do way too much.
You're bad.
I asked because I think it's bad and you have to do way too much of it. So when you guys are talking about it being like mechanically brilliant, like I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Wait, Dying Light or Dead Island?
Okay, first of all, this Dying Light or Dead Island thing is just super confusing. That's like the worst part of this whole conversation.
Just say Island or Light.
Just say Dead Island had a cool melee combat system because you could use the right analog stick to actually like aim and swipe, and you can actually target body parts to disable them and stuff. A lot of that went out they didn't do that in Dying Light. So I guess they could like evolve that melee system to make it deep and cool, I guess.
Dying Light has... I love the combat of Dying Light because of how smoothly you can chain melee combat together with parkour, and like that is... Yeah. That's amazing.
I'm just a little burned that they sold it as a PS4 game, and it absolutely is
not. Yes, that is true. That version should never have seen the light of day, probably. Okay, that's opening night live. Let's answer a couple quick questions because we got to wrap up here pretty soon. It's been a little bit of a longer show. So, Um, obviously, guys, if you want to write in each week, we start a thread in Discord at discord.gg/4Player. There's a submit a question thread, or a channel, and we open up a thread every week for the upcoming show. Our first question this week comes from, I believe this is the Drunken Merchant. Oh God. Okay, I was going through some old things the other day and realized that despite me no longer needing VHS tapes anymore, I wish I had kept the Dragon Ball Z Ocean Dub tape set for decoration. What's something that you've always regretted selling or throwing away?
Oh,
There's probably a lot of these.
Yeah, I guess. Video game stuff maybe back in the day.
I still kind of regret
there,
selling getting rid of my PS2.
there's some games that I regret getting rid of because there was a time when like certain games were becoming rare and they got a lot of trade-in value, and that's how I acquired a lot of stuff by trading in games back then. And I kind of regret not having them, but at the same time, who needs stuff? I don't know.
I mean, one regret I have, and it's very specific, not necessarily video games, but when I was a kid, I was going through still in my Godzilla phase, but my father bought me this self-published encyclopedia about Godzilla and the entire franchise. And I loved it. It was great. But somehow when I was a teenager, it disappeared and probably got thrown away. Now I've been kind of thinking about it over the past few months, and I look it up on eBay, and when it appears, it's averaging about $4,000 to $5,000 a copy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, it was really cool because it had full synopsis and reviews of all the movies up until like when they published it, which was 94. And it also had like cut scripts and like, reviews of the directors and the producers. And it was like really fucking cool for what they did. But yeah, fortunately, I think the author's dead now, so there's no way I'm getting a cheap copy.
In my head right now, I'm like starting to realize that I might be a bit of a hoarder because like I can't think of anything. I don't sell too much. I don't sell much.
I know there's stuff I've sold that I regretted. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I can think of things that I wish I'd bought that I didn't, that I regret not buying.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I know, but it's my
also,
answer.
Nick, you do trading games and sell games.
No, I'm going to tell this story because one time I went to Half Price Books and they had a whole collection of original printing, large print, Savage Sword of Conan, and I was like, that's cool as fuck. I should buy that, and I didn't buy it. And then I went back the next day. They were gone. Never seen them again.
I feel that way about some of the stuff that I almost bought but didn't, and now it's like too expensive now to where I can't. Like
Book of
there
Nine
was
Swords.
Like when the Final Fantasy Tactics figurines came out, I bought all of them except for Balthier, because Balthier was a guest character in the PSP port of Final Fantasy Tactics. But I'm like, well, I like Balthier, but he's not a Final Fantasy Tactics character. I don't need to get that one. And now I have the collection. I'm like, I kind of want Balthier now, but now these things cost too much, and I'm like, fuck. But again, that wasn't the question. Nick, you totally sell trading games all the time. What happened to Ghostwire Tokyo?
Dude. What a weird time to bring that up. Like, I didn't say I
What do you
never
mean?
trade stuff in.
Oh, I thought you did say that. You said you always keep your shit.
I keep 95% of what I buy. Like, I'm
Just
very
the
stingy
shit,
when
the
it
drivel
comes,
you truly hate, you get rid of, like Ghostwire.
Yes.
He's miserly.
He's just trying to bring this up because he asked me in Discord the other day, Chris Davis, what do you genuinely think of Ghostwire Tokyo? And I tried to sum it up for him. I think I don't know what Brad's
I've been asking about that game all year. I've been asking about that game all year. I've played a few hours of it now. I still have a copy, and I've still been asking about it because I'm so on the fence of actually committing to it.
And also, Brad interprets me trading in that game as like hating it, and that's really not the case.
You got rid of it, and you literally just said you never get rid of things.
I know.
That's like,
I feel like hate's
symbolic.
A strong word.
Just a minute.
I can't do it,
Make
Brad.
this an Onimusha. It's okay to say you don't like something. You don't like it. Just say you don't like it.
I said I don't like it. I also don't like Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Did you get rid of that?
Yeah. I also don't like Triangle Strategy, apparently. I got rid of that.
So basically anything
Here we
Japanese.
go. I'm on a roll. I traded in Watch Dogs Legion last week.
Oh, that's not bad.
Wow, a
That's not
Western
bad,
game?
too.
You traded in a Western game? It wasn't even Japanese.
You didn't like that? You
Wait,
didn't
wait,
like
Nick,
that game, Nick?
do you still have Tales
I
of
don't-
Arise?
No, I traded that in with Watch
Oh my-
Dogs.
You trade in shit all the time.
No, but like what I just described to you is like all that I've traded in the past like 2 years.
The only Japanese games you played in 2 years.
It's 10:45. Let's go.
All right, next question.
right.
Oh yeah.
All right,
I got a
next
final thought,
question.
too.
Freyham, let me finish this question. It sounds like we've already answered this before, but okay.
You still
Freyham
have
says,
3 houses though, right, Nick?
Oh my
yes.
God.
Do you
Okay.
guys miss having to go into convention?
What?
Do you
Nick
guys
owns
miss-
3 houses? I'm sorry.
Guys,
He does.
do you guys miss having to go into conventions physically and having a great experience when inside, or are you guys liking the change of having conventions online?
Oh, I miss it, dude.
I
we
miss
got
it.
to play video games. Play video games that were never out. That hadn't come out yet. That's super exciting.
I feel like Brad. I feel like Brad, you've gone both different directions on this thing. This question has been asked a number of times.
When it comes to conferences, I super don't care about like I've over the years I was like I don't care about going to press conferences, but I always enjoyed getting hands on with the games on the show floor because that's like the thing that you can't do at home. Like actually being at a press conference, we weren't really getting much out of that, but playing games, I mean, you know, like the first time I put hands on Bayonetta, like months and months before anybody else got to try it, I knew that shit was fucking magic, like instantly. And that shit, I miss that. Yeah.
I miss it.
But I would never
necessarily
go to
agree
a convention ever again in my life, though.
Yeah. I miss having fun at conventions. If they came back, like if like I still wouldn't want to go to one now though. I wish I had the energy I did when we first started because the last couple conventions we did go to, like fucking just killed me.
Yeah.
I miss them a lot. Especially E3. Mostly because that was E3 was almost like like clockwork. It was like a vacation for me, and it was one of the most exciting times of the year. I'm not like Brad. I love going to press conferences, even when you can watch them from home. When a press conference is good, being in the room is amazing. But of course, it's always a gamble as to whether it's going to be good. But arguably speaking, especially hearing Brad talk shit about all these conventions, all these conferences we've been watching over the past couple years online, the magic is just like when it's all online, it's just not exciting in the same way.
Wait, it's not exciting because they've been pretty bad the past couple of years, but they used to be exciting whether you were at home or not when they were good.
Well, whatever. We can.
You know what I miss? I miss
disagree.
walking up to Demon
Demon
Souls and Dragon's Dogma before anybody's ever got to play them, and no one even knew that they were awesome yet. That was the best.
You're right. I miss E3 a lot, and I'm honestly not ruling out going to E3 again if it comes back. But obviously, it's not going to be something I'm going to go to until like I'm quadruple vaxxed and COVID is like actually gone. You know what I mean?
I don't even want to get the common cold ever again. Fuck places with lots of people forever.
Yeah,
I'm good.
You end up smelling a lot of farts.
Yeah.
Okay, it's true. All right. Tack asks, what's the most excited you've ever been for DLC, or if nothing comes to mind, expansion packs?
Wait, say that again?
What is the most excited you've ever been for a piece of DLC, or if nothing comes to mind, expansion packs?
I got something.
Go for it.
Well, are we counting like Monster Hunter expansions? Well, let's not count those.
Sure.
I mean,
how about for me?
I was also super excited about Dragon Age Awakening, like the first like real giant major expansion with a whole new story and characters and stuff for Origins because I loved Origins and that was really cool. I still feel like that's the last like classic, you know, Western expansion or whatever that.
Yeah.
For me, I would point to Burial at Sea, the DLC for Bioshock Infinite.
Now, here's my question: are you thinking of like what's your favorite after having played it, or are you thinking about how excited you were prior to its release? Because that's the actual question.
I mean,
like,
that's
prior
an
to
answer to
release.
both questions for me.
okay. For me, Left Behind, Last of Us Left Behind.
That was a good one,
Obviously,
but I didn't know it was great until after I played it.
I mean, I didn't know it was great either, but it was also like I knew The Last of Us was great, and I just wanted more. I
But
also
I mean, I connected with Left Behind more than the story stuff and The Last of Us proper. I feel like I feel like that was kind of a turning point for them in terms of.
I seem to remember hearing really, really good things about Bioshock 2.
Minerva's Den.
Yeah, you never played that?
Like no, I did. I loved it, but I'm trying to think of.
Oh.
I can't remember if I was like super excited for it prior. I feel like I was hearing good word of mouth prior to its
No one was
release, and I
excited
started
about it
going,
until it came out and people heard it was good because it was just DLC to BioShock 2 prior to release, and no one knew that could have been great because honestly, people were kind of whatever on BioShock 2 at the time.
Evil Within DLC, like Evil Within 1 DLC in particular, I remember being pretty excited about.
I'm gonna say World of Warcraft Burning Crusade. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, MMO expansions, sure.
And
Endwalker.
Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker.
There it is. There it is, folks. Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah. I don't know.
Iceborne. Sunbreak.
I don't remember. The only DLCs I can think of getting excited for are ones that ended up disappointing me.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, I feel like DLCs are more often than not
Like,
disappointing. You know what I mean? Like,
well, no, I mean, no, I'm not gonna follow you there, Nick. That's crazy. But I like that. It's just, I don't know. I've gotten excited about a few Destiny expansions that came out and we're just like, oh god, like I've gotten excited about oh man, I remember getting kind of excited about the season pass for Arkham Knight and then playing the Batgirl DLC and being like, I fucking hate everything. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know,
I
man.
feel you. I feel you. All right. Here we go. Let's last question tonight is from Zero Skies. He says, if you had to erase one high-profile game from existence that has come out or is coming out in 2022, what would you choose?
It has
This
to be a
year?
2022 game
That's
that has come out
yeah, I
or
guess
will come
that.
out in 2022.
I think he's limiting this to specifically 2022. So it had to be
But
a,
if we're
a
saying
big
any
game.
game, I'm gonna say Silent Hill 2. No, Silent Hill 1. Take out
wait,
the whole
what?
series.
We're talking about 2022, and also, what the fuck,
I'm saying
man?
if we're talking about any game,
Wait,
I'm
read the
saying
question
Silent Hill.
again. Read the question again.
You need to use your ears, Brad. What is?
Well, Krispy just answered it weird, and now I'm confused.
If you had to erase one high-profile game from existence that has come out or is coming out in 2022, what would
This
you
year,
choose?
okay.
Yes,
Well, you
this
could
year.
read that as being any game that has come out
I
or
know,
is
but
going
that's
to come
not what he
out this
meant.
year.
But that's not what he meant. We're talking 2022. He just
How about
worded it
how about
strangely.
Splatoon 3? Make all those stupid fuckboys sad.
No.
Oh my god,
That's mean. Jesus.
Damn.
Make me sad.
I
Dying
mean,
Light
let's-
2. Dying Light 2 is my answer.
I'm split
Holy
between Dying Light 2 and Gotham Knights, honestly.
Kill it.
You
Kill
guys
it.
are
Kill it.
wrong.
You're
Okay.
a bitch, Chris Davis.
Okay, first of all, I don't want to say
Stay
Dying
away
Light 2
from
because
Gotham Knight.
I don't want to give Brad the satisfaction of me saying Dying Light 2.
You say Ghostwire
But-
Tokyo. Let's move on. I got to do my 4-player minute.
He said high profile. Is that high profile?
Ghostwire Tokyo. Yeah.
Okay,
PS5
fine.
exclusive.
Ghostwire Tokyo. Fuck it.
Yeah.
All right, that's our
Wipe
last
it from
question, tonight, guys.
existence.
Thank you so much for writing in. I know we're kind of running out of time this week, but we try to get to as many as we can. If you want to write in for next week's show, please do. Just go to the submit a questions thread in Discord and leave it there. We'd love to hear we'd love to hear from you. All right.
Here's my final thought.
Brad,
I got my
final
final
thought. Go.
Oh man, something really sad happened today. I got home from work. My wife's like, dude, something happened today. Henry asked me if we could play Kirby, and I was like, I think your dad sent it back to Gameplay because I had rented that game. And I just finished Kirby last week with Henry, and he asked to play it. And I haven't sent it back yet, but I was going to. And when my wife told him this, he got real emotional and he started to cry, or he was about to start crying. But he's like, but he said, like, but we upgraded so many abilities and we got through so many levels, and that's just gone. All that's just gone now. He got really emotional, and now I feel fucking terrible. Like, do I got to keep Kirby forever? I know I could probably get him onto something new, but like
Sonic, get him onto Sonic.
His life experience with that Kirby game is probably just done, you know? And now I'm like, do I keep playing?
How old is Henry?
Well, he's 5. He just turned 5.
Look, yeah, 5 years to smash his hopes and dreams.
Oh my god!
5 years.
Yeah, well, I had to break it. I had to tell him, like, Nintendo games hold their value, man. This shit ain't never going on sale. Dad's got to send it back. Oh
he's
man,
like, what's money?
I felt bad. I mean, we reached credits. We dabbled in the post-game stuff. I don't really want to play that game anymore. He just fucked around in town, like setting like villagers on fire.
Yeah. He would just be in town. On a podcast.
Oh man, but I'm not buying it. I'm done with that game.
Damn. God.
By the time we got to later worlds, he's like, I'm too scared. This is too hard. You do it. So fuck him.
I'll buy Henry a copy of Kirby. I'll buy Henry a copy of Kirby.
It was sad though, because every time we upgraded an ability, he got really, really excited. He was really always excited to go to that shop to upgrade an ability. He's like, let's upgrade Ice, Dad. And now he just sees that all that stuff is gone, and it's kind of true.
They're gonna play a clip from this podcast when you're in family court fighting for visitation rights.
So now I gotta find maybe like some other game to get him excited about. Are there any other kids games that came out this year? He was literally watching a fucking Pac-Man show on TV when I got home. I didn't even know there was a Pac-Man show, and he was watching a Pac-Man show. He was like 8 episodes deep. I know they're coming out with that Pac-Man remaster of Pac-Man World. Should I get that? That's probably not any good. I don't know. I need another kids game. Because this kid's sad. Anyways, that's my final thought. I gotta go. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks, Brad. Is he really just gonna ghost us?
He's just about to.
What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? You want me to do a tap dance? You mean
play him out? Play him out.
Tap dance before I go? What do you want me to say? I used to just slip out and no one ever knew I was gone on the actual podcast recording. And now you're like, you should tell everybody you're fucking leaving. You should just tell everybody when you let out a fart. Just let me go. Let me disappear. It's fine.
And fine, Brad. Disappear into obscurity. Goodbye.
What's your 4-player minute, Chris Davis?
My 4-player minute, I'm splitting between 2 things. Wow, thanks. Bye, Brad.
There it is.
God damn it. I knew it. I had my mouse hovering over the close of the group icon.
Yeah.
God damn it, Brad.
2 things.
Yeah, my first thing, and he's made me forget my second thing, which is annoying me.
So you're down to 1 thing.
Yeah. So Konami tweeted out this afternoon, attention Konami fans. For the first time ever, all the classic games you love and the new games you're waiting for are coming to the official Konami shop as Steam digital downloads. 23 games, 18 DLCs. Are you ready to play?
Wait. All the games you're waiting for?
Yes.
What the fuck does that mean?
It included a quick montage clip of a bunch of different stuff. Metal Gear Rising. There was some Silent Hill stuff, some Castlevania stuff, and some Bomberman. And what it seems to actually have been was just Konami not announcing new games that are going to be getting emulation ports or stuff like that. You know, it's just them taking their existing Steam catalog and making it available for sale on their own official website. I'm like, fuck you guys.
Oh, so this is a fuck you.
Yeah, it is a supreme fuck you. Like,
yeah, Konami is the worst.
They really are the worst.
For a studio that made 3 of some of the most iconic video game franchises ever. They fucking suck.
Well, not to mention a back catalog of hundreds of IPs with such amazing potential, and they're never gonna fucking do anything with it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you think of the other thing yet?
I guess the other thing I'm grabbing this out of the air, but one of the things we didn't talk about was the new demo they showed off of Forspoken.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
They showed some not necessarily continuous gameplay, but like really more expansive demonstration of what that game looks to play like. That game looks good to me. It honestly looks pretty good. It's like DMC, but you're a spell sniper, really.
I think a lot of people are just getting bogged down, obviously, in the whole voice writing controversy, which is that trailer, which
that's a marketing, that's a marketing bumble. But like, this was the thing to show off. This is what should have really been lighting people's, it's.
I will
really
go watch this. I'll go watch this.
You absolutely
it's been
should.
On my list of things to watch.
This has turned the game into a buy for me on day one.
All right. Fair enough. Krispy, what you got?
Well, I this last week have begun digging into some of the new content added to Final Fantasy XIV with patch 6.2. The big the thing I've been spending most of my time with is the Island Sanctuary. They've added a new kind of like downtime chill activity called Island Sanctuary, where you get your own island. And I mean, the pitch is that it's basically like a little miniature Harvest Moon in Final Fantasy. So
that's pretty cool.
You have like a little farm where you can capture animals and put them in a little pasture and feed them, and they give you materials like milk and wool and stuff like that. You have a field where you can plant seeds and grow crops. You can build buildings, but like everything happens in like real world time. So like, if you plant pumpkin seeds, they need 48 real world hours to grow. So it's like the pace of it's kind of slow,
Yeah.
It's supposed to be kind of like a chill thing. And then the rest of it is just like running around your island collecting materials to do stuff. And I will say, it's a fucking vibe, man. Like, it's chill as fuck. It's a beautiful tropical setting. You even get some sweet glams that you can buy, like wearing like a little expedition shirt with a kerchief and a leather backpack, and it looks cool. It's a lot of fun. Feels a little aimless though. I was kind of hoping that it might feel a little more significant, or might kind of like play into like I don't know,
I
so far
it's
I feel
kind of like Animal Crossing ish.
Yeah, I mean, so far the way I've kind of been engaging with it has been more of like, oh, I'm just gonna show up, do some things, and then go do something else, right? And I was kind of hoping that it might be a little more like a place I'd want to actually hang out. And it's not that it isn't, but I don't know. I'm still feeling it out. I haven't progressed my island very far. So I'm hoping that there's more utility. There's like a whole like trading thing that goes on with it, where you can like take materials that you generate from the island and sell them, but you have to like actually like schedule like shipping. It seems like there's some micromanaging stuff there that I haven't wrapped my head around yet. But it's interesting. I'm enjoying it overall so far. I know they said it's kind of like a casual, like take a break kind of place, but I'm wondering what just how much of a payoff I can get out of investing time into it,
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Cool.
Real quick before you go, I remembered what I was gonna talk about.
Go for it.
It was a sweat. I didn't have enough impressions tonight for new stuff, so I didn't really talk about much of anything. But I really wanted to mention real quick. I, for some reason, found myself playing through Earth Defense Force 5 and actually beat the game. I was kind of amazed that I did that. That is a fun, mindless game. I really enjoyed that. And I also, this evening, started playing the new map for Hitman 3.
Oh
and
yeah.
it's pretty cool.
That's a sweat.
Well, yeah, I meant I had been meaning to play that map for about 3 weeks now, and I only started doing it like an hour before the show was supposed to air. So like
Yeah.
I didn't feel good about having opinions about it to share, but it's fun.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you. Okay. My final thought for the night is twofold. One, uh, so this past weekend, the pilot of House of the Dragon aired on HBO, right? New Game of Thrones spin-off series, and pretty into that first episode. I'm pretty optimistic about it so far based on what I've seen. It must have had some impact on me because I have jumped back into the books, but this time I'm listening to the audiobooks, which I've never done before. And let me tell you, this is the third time I've read the first Game of Thrones book, and feels like it's the first time I'm reading it because those books are very dense. Huh,
Have
go ahead.
you just never really like done audiobooks before?
No, I mean not a ton. I've done a little bit.
Why did the
I
first 3 times you do this book did you feel the need to?
well, it's mostly because I prefer the feeling of like holding a book and reading it. I like that feeling. Game of Thrones in particular is very dense and it's very hard for me to follow because I'm really bad at remembering names of people and places. And I feel like that problem compounds itself when I'm physically holding the book, reading it. The audiobook, I feel like I'm not having that problem at all because it's like someone's telling me the story and doing the voices and for whatever reason, all of that stuff that I normally struggle with is just like sinking right in, and I feel like I'm interpreting the story the way I've always wanted it to.
This is
So
interesting.
I am plowing through. Like I started this like 3 days ago, and I'm like, I've listened to like 10 chapters or something. So I'm moving through it at a steady clip now. And normally, also when I physically read books, I take a pretty long time. I'm not the fastest reader these days, just in terms of like getting through books. But being able to listen when I go on walks or when I'm eating lunch or something has just kind of changed, everything for me in terms of this. So I'm hoping that this is the time that I finally get through the entire book series. I've only ever read basically the first book 3 times, and I think I read half of A Clash of Kings, and then dropped off of it. And now I'm kind of like really getting into it, and I'm like, okay, I could see myself finally getting through all 5 of these books, but that also comes with the caveat of like, why am I doing this to myself when we don't even know anything about that 6th book yet? Like, fuck.
If
And then
it exists.
I really screwed myself the other day because I was like, guys, this whole thing is such a clusterfuck. Like, I'm loving these audiobooks. What if this narrator isn't even alive when this 6th book comes out? And I looked it up. He died in
Yeah,
2017.
he's not.
So I'm like, that ship has already sailed.
So is the
Um,
what's the general vibe out there? Is the audience kind of willing to forgive and forget for how
on the
badly
show?
the main show ended?
Oh, I mean, this was like a very, very successful premiere for that. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. This is not. The people who are largely held responsible for kind of ruining that original series are not involved in this at all, and I think it already shows. So I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. There's only one episode debate to kind of form an opinion on, so it's not a lot. But that first episode was pretty good. It kind of felt like the way I felt the first time I started watching the original series, so that's nice. So point is, I'm going into Game of Thrones with the intention of reading all 5 books finally, and that's exciting. The other part of my 4-player minute, this is really quick. I said I wasn't going to mention Horizon again, Forbidden West, until I got the ability to fly in that game, and I finally did. And God, game is fucking cool. I'm flying around that world on a fucking robot pterodactyl. I can go anywhere. Flying
The
over the open ocean, flying over mountains.
there's
Oh
entire
man,
islands that you can't get to except on a pterodactyl.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool,
In
man.
fact, there's
And
large portions of that map you just can't access without it.
yeah, yes, I love it. But I'm also gonna finish that game this weekend, and I'll finally be free of the big three: the Elden Ring, Dying Light 2, and Horizon that like came out in what, like March or May or whatever of this year, and have just completely decimated my, you know. I've been playing those games since they dropped, and I'm fine. Once I finish that, I feel like I'm free to try so many other things.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is that the pterodactyl comes at like the very tail end of the game.
There's only 2 missions left, and I can see why they did it, because if they had given you that really early, I feel like it kind of would have just made so much of the game kind of trivial, because it really does. I mean, it changes the way you traverse that world, and I'm just blasting through things and doing cleanup and like doing all the things that I didn't otherwise do, because I didn't feel like scaling that mountain to do this thing. But now I'm like, fuck it, and now I'll just fly to the top on a pterodactyl, and that's fucking
I
cool.
would honestly encourage you to stream those last 2 levels, because those are probably my favorite ones in the game, and it is such a fun ending.
That's cool. I'm excited, but like I don't know if I want to stream, because that's just like, hey, come check out these spoilers. You know what I mean? But
a game that came out back in February, you're worried about streaming spoilers for.
It's still pretty new. Anyways, that's it. That's all I gotta say. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you for listening to our show. Again, reminder, we're back to our Thursday recording schedule, so we'll be back next week.
One last thing before we close out. I'm probably going to be doing a community night on Saturday to play Splinter Cell Blacklist, because the servers are going offline September 1st.
You're pouring one out for Blacklist, huh?
Pouring one out for Well, it's pouring it out for a lot of Ubisoft games.
What platform are you going to play on?
Leaning towards PC, but we might do 360 since it's technically backwards compatible.
Shit. I can't remember if I own that game on PC, but if I do, maybe I'll join you. But yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. 4playernetwork.com is of course our website. You can find all of our podcasts there, as well as on all the podcast services you can think of: Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Podcasts, all that stuff. We're out there. Check us out. Subscribe. We appreciate you forever. And of course, jump into our Discord at discord.gg/4player. Stop into our introductions channel. Say hello. We'd love to hear from you. But with that said, be good to each other, play video games. Good night.